Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph. It is Wednesday, September 29th at 11:33 p.m. We're going to be doing this until September 30th.
Yeah.
Can you believe it's going to be October?
It's
this September. There's no September 31st, right? It's September 30th. Yeah, it's a 30-day month.
Right.
Wow, dude,
it's crazy.
Like already over. It's pretty much over.
Yeah.
Which is kind of depressing. You think about it. This year like just flew by.
It really did. Yeah, it really did.
Is it just because I'm getting older that did you ever see the Muppets Take Manhattan?
Of course.
Okay. Do you remember the scene when Kermit the Frog marries Miss Piggy?
Yeah.
Do you really? Are you just guessing?
Well, I'm like
this beautiful matrimonial scene.
I'm like merging this in my head. I think what was the one where Charles Grodin was in it? Was that
That's
Muppets?
The first one. That's the first one. The one who wanted the frog legs. That's Muppet.
Oh yeah.
Then there's Muppet Caper. Muppet Capers with Charles Grodin.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Round out the. You did say Charles Grodin?
Yeah.
I was thinking the guy.
I'm thinking Muppet Caper in my head.
Okay.
I committed the Muppet movie to memory. So yeah.
Muppet movie, Muppet Caper, and then the Muppets Take Manhattan to
right.
round out the Muppet movie trilogy.
The original trilogy.
Yeah, the original. Yeah. When people talk about the Muppets and everything, I always talk about the original trilogy.
Yeah.
The sacred original trilogy. Are you talking about the original trilogy?
Right.
Yeah. The Muppet Caper. The Muppets. I mean, the Muppet Caper in a way is the Empire Strikes Back of the Muppet trilogy.
It is. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is. But okay, do you remember though in the end of Muppets Take Manhattan when Kermit and Miss Piggy get married?
Yes.
You really do?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't. I don't think I could like point out set pieces or details or anything.
I could recite it word for word.
If you gave me the raw materials, I couldn't build a diorama of it.
Okay. Well, there's a scene when they're all singing, right? And you're probably like, "What the fuck is that? Anything to do with that?"
Yeah.
Okay. There's a scene where there's babies and old people. Babies go, days go passing day by day. And the old people go, years go passing years by year. And I was like, oh my God, I saw that when I was like 5 or 6. And that scene, that stuck with me. Those old puppets, they weren't making shit up. Years go by, and the babies weren't kidding because they're new. Like days go. So I learned a lot that day from the sacred trilogy.
Yes, right. Yes, the original texts, the original.
Those SJWs that try to ruin the Muppets. Yeah. They tried in the new trilogy. The last Kermit, or what the fuck it was called.
Yeah, Kermit and Constantine from the
new. I love that guy. The evil Kermit.
Yeah, Constantine was awesome. He was.
Yeah, I don't think that movie. What was that one called? Muppets.
I think it was just called The Muppets, wasn't it?
Well,
and it was
okay. So the Muppets came back. Jason Segel did one, and then that one it did okay. Then they made a sequel that was almost basically just a Muppet Caper, but like and like they get sent to like a Russian prison, and what's his face is it was actually. I don't feel like this movie gets enough love. It didn't do well enough to finish out the trilogy. They didn't have a third. I don't think they had a third movie. But what's his face from Flight of the Conchords did all the music in that Muppet movie.
Okay.
And you see it. It's so good. It's like almost like an unofficial Flight of the Conchords episode. That Muppet.
That's
movie.
Cool.
And even Jermaine is in it, and he's in the prison. Oh. But yeah, Constantine's awesome. And there's been a lot of good memes with Constantine.
Yes.
Isn't that meme with the evil Kermit? Like the emperor or something? Isn't that where it comes from?
I don't know. That would make sense. But Constantine, you could always tell because he had that mole. Right. Which is the classic symbol of an evil puppet.
Or just anyone evil.
Or the devil's
spot. The devil's mark.
Right. I heard there was that the original plan for the follow-up to the new Muppet movie was that they were going to just do basically a shot-by-shot remake of Face Off. And that was, instead of a Russian prison, it was going to be like on some sort of weird platform in the ocean.
And they think they could get away, that Constantine current or going to switch faces. Like, that's, dude, they're trying to skimp on the special. I mean, those frocks look exactly the same. I mean, right. I know there was the beauty mark.
Yeah. I do think Nick Cage as Fozzie was a bold casting choice, though. I do think.
I'm sorry, what?
I do think Nick Cage as Fozzie was a bold casting choice.
That was I don't know what that was. So yeah, why? Yeah, you just went on a tangent, Joseph.
Mm-hmm. The point was it's almost October, and as the old puppets say, the years go by and by. It's
as they say in the sacred trilogy. Yes. Yeah. I'll tell you this though, just before we actually start talking about what we're supposed to talk about. Muppets Take Manhattan, they gave us a satisfying ending. Return of the Jedi, we were supposed to get a wedding between Han Solo and Princess Leia, and they didn't deliver.
No.
Muppets Take Manhattan, they're like, we got you. We're gonna have Kermit marry a pig. Frog and a pig.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, but in the end of the day, though, we got the Muppet Babies too.
Oh yeah, those are good. Those are solid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Solid content. All right. What are we talking about, Joseph?
All right. So we have a. We're going to start off actually with. This is unusual for us. Usually, it's like, what are we talking about? And it's like the 10 most depressing things you had heard over the last week, all at once.
It's all we talk about.
Right. But we're starting off with 3 pretty feel-good stories.
All right, here we go.
Unvaccinated chuds are getting fired, which is a great.
It feels great.
Love to see it. YouTube and the jury's still out on.
They're not getting fired. They're self-deleting themselves.
I think they're gaining the freedom to remain unvaccinated.
Yeah. Go. Yeah. There you go.
YouTube has said they're going to start deleting and then banning all anti-vax videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last of the feel-good trilogy is that the kids' vaccines it looks like they're right around the corner. That by Halloween we should be able to take our children into a CVS or a doctor's office and get them vaccinated for free. Mm-hmm. With what looks to be a really effective coronavirus vaccine, and a safe one. So that'll be nice.
Well, when your child turns into a puddle of goo,
when his mRNA is
we're spiked proteins. I love these people, like, they say all these things. Like, shut the fuck up. You have no idea what you're talking about.
No idea what you're talking about.
No idea. You memorize some script. You get changing the spiked protein. You know what? I wish my proteins had spikes. That's sick. I love spikes. You know what? That's punk rock.
And they explain this to you literally as they're like shotgunning their 4th Dr. Pepper of the day, which essentially is heartburn in a bottle.
These are the people who drink like Monster Energy drink, which is like loaded with chemicals that have not been found by man.
Right.
Like, they discovered that in the Roswell crash.
Right. Like 17 of the 600 ingredients can only be found on passing comets. It's like,
which is always good. I mean, something found from a passing comet always leads to something good.
Yeah. So and then we're gonna shift gears away from the happy stories. We're gonna talk about a deadly amoeba attack that happened nearby, and I have some stories about amoeba attacks that I can.
Oh, those are fun. Okay.
And then another tragic story about how the Dems don't seem to be killing the filibuster.
Well, select few are the ones that are doing great. But I mean, like, I don't know, call out those select few,
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Okay.
And then we're going to talk about Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota,
Okay.
and her incompetent kid that she got a job for.
I cannot believe that Kristi Noem's child would be incompetent.
Right?
It's a state of shock. A state of shock.
Yeah. It seems like, she would be some sort of Anne Randian superhero, but instead you basically have a female Ralph Wiggum trying to make her way through the world.
Choose you. That's her re-election.
Yes.
Catchphrase, actually.
And then we're going to talk. This is kind of an interesting one, and this is the one I have mixed feelings about. We're going to talk about Matthew Dowd, who was the chief campaign strategist for Bush Cheney in 2004. He is running for lieutenant governor here in Texas as a Democrat. So,
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Squid Game, which we talked about last week. I have a few more thoughts.
Let's finish it on Squid Game.
Okay,
and we're gonna spoil. We didn't really spoil too much.
No.
Hopefully, anyone's listening to this now. I think a lot more people have watched it. It's actually very popular. It's like it's like their number one show right now. So we're gonna spoil that, but we're gonna talk about the latest episode of What If first before we do Squid Game. We're gonna end the show on Squid Game,
and then that's it. It should be a.
Well, I do want to talk about one thing real quick.
Yeah.
Or nothing too big, but there was this funny thing on Twitter that I saw, and it's kind of gotten around. It's just complete bullshit.
Yeah.
This was tweeted by Jacqueline Lee. She's a reporter for 6 ABC, just local news, but whatever. Beware, as Halloween gets closer, Ben Salem police are warning parents to look at your child's candy before they eat it. They confiscated these snacks that look a lot like the real thing, or laced with THC. And it's like Medibles, Cheetos Crunchy. Like they're all like, they kind of look like Sweet Tarts, Extreme Sour, but they're all, it says edibles on there.
Yeah.
And it's like people, the response to these tweets are so fucking funny. At first of all, everyone's like, no one's handing out $30 bag,
right?
Gummy, no one's giving out this candy. Like this picture, these 2 photos she posted or that they posted, it's like $150 worth of edibles on there.
Yeah,
no one's giving those shit out for free.
No, here's what happens: is that Kristi Noem comes home and finds one of her kids, Brixby or whatever, sitting on the couch, stoned out of his mind, and a bag of like Medible Cheetos next to him. And she's like, "Where'd you get this, Brixby?" And he's like, trick. And he tells his mom, like, somebody gave it to me. And then they call the reporter. There's no way.
Well, this is the police department pushing it. Yeah. So it's bullshit already. But like I said, the responses were really good. Somebody like, make sure you check all your candy. These things happen all the time. And it was like somebody a party-sized Twix wrapped around a handgun. Yeah, I tweeted in response. I tweeted, and here I was putting razors and candy apples like an idiot.
Yeah,
what? That was a bullshit story. That was, remember when you're a little older than me.
Yes.
By a little older, I mean like 6 decades.
I went through Reefer Madness.
When the movie came out, 1920.
They based that off our graduating class. They based it.
Well, your name is what was it again?
Bong Hit Joe.
Bong Hit Joe. Yeah, you were a star of the Reefer Madness. I just remember in the 80s, like, and how we're it's almost Halloween, it's gonna be October soon, so we can talk about this Halloween related story. Yeah. They started talking about like, this was big in the 80s, of just like candy being laced with things, and it was all bullshit. It was complete bullshit. Now who knows? It might be some sick fucks, but one of the main ones, it was revealed it was like some guy who poisoned his own child.
Yeah,
like it was always revealed like some kid's uncle was the one who put the razor and gave it to them. I mean, like,
yeah. And 9 times out of 10, they would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those kids and that dog, which is just.
I don't know. I don't get the
The
reference.
Scooby-Doo. Like,
What's that?
Scooby-Doo?
I didn't.
Oh.
Was that in the original Muppet trilogy? Is that like? Oh wait, I knew Scooby-Doo. It's Velma.
Yeah, right.
That guy, he told me about Velma.
Well, before it was its own series on Pornhub, it was a animated Hanna-Barbera cartoon. You may be thinking of the New Adventures of Velma and Daphne, which has got a little different plot line than.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Wink. Wink. All right. Well, you know, I just wanted to talk about that. I just thought that was really funny. Idea that people would give out. Like, what generous person would give these out? Like, these are like, no one's giving out their $30 bags of fucking edibles to $30, $50, $100 bags. No one.
Absolutely.
You're not going to give this to a kid. Get the fuck out of here. Here's your Skittle bag. Here's this your bag of Skittles that I've eaten there. Go enjoy.
Seven yellow Skittles and a green.
It's always like the flavor, the green. What's your favorite Skittle?
Well, it depends. If the green is the apple, then I like the green the best.
Oh no, green's usually like lime.
It's usually lime, and in that case, my favorite's probably the purple one, the grape.
I like the orange.
Oh yeah, orange.
I love fake orange. Fake orange is such a good flavor. Like orange.
It is.
That shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite gummy is? Cheetos. That cannot be like what it tastes like. That's disgusting.
That can't even be a product.
Like, I mean, like when I bought, they sell it. Cheetos flavored, like Cheetos mac and cheese. I don't know if they still sell it.
Oh yeah, my kid got that once.
Yeah, I got it one time, and I got it for Roger. He had one. He thought it was gross. I tried eating it, and I was like, "This is fine." And then as I was eating, like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna throw up."
Yeah,
it doesn't. No, it's disgusting. That flavor only belongs on like dehydrated puffs. Like it should not be on anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't translate well. My kid got the Flamin' Hot Cheetos macaroni and cheese Cheetos thing, and it was like fucking like a weird orange. Like
yeah, it's like it doesn't. The orange on the pasta just looks like neon pink.
Yeah, it's like it was more pink than orange, and it tasted like I don't know, like eels or something. I mean, it was really.
The color of food can really affect like your brain, how you taste, and probably also whatever fucking food dies. Yeah. You remember when ketchup they made like purple and green
ketchup?
Yeah, I don't think that shit lasted. You know, ketchup is red. That's it. It can't be anything but. Yeah. All right, so why don't we get into speaking of ketchup?
Right.
I don't know. Actually, there's no lead into this. Unvaxxed chuds getting fired, or unvaxxed chuds refusing to get vaccinated and looking for more work.
Yeah, basically, like the big story. I saw a few little stories. There was a hospital system in North Carolina that had to fire like 150 people. And the big one was United Airlines fired like 600 people. And for both of these companies, that represented like fewer than 1% of their workforce. It was a very small
people number. Realize that. Like they sound like 600 people. It sounds like a lot. Yeah, but with these like big nationwide companies, 600 people is nothing.
Right. It's a very, very small number. And basically United came out and said like, look, we had to let 600 people go. We gave them like 3 months to get their shit together. They never did. We gave them opportunities to apply for exemptions and shit like that, and they never did. So we canned them, you know, and now we have thousands of people trying to get those 600 jobs, and it's worked out great for them.
I think it's a great way for companies. I mean, first of all, I think the media is doing disservice because they're trying to make it sound like there's this like massive revolt and there's like the majority of people are losing jobs, and that's not the case. It's a very small number. First of all, the majority of people who have gotten at these companies have already gotten vaccinated. Yeah. It wasn't an issue. Some people maybe forgot, were not aware, didn't have the time or whatever. Now they finally got vaccinated and did it, especially when it was mandated. And then these people who refuse to, the number's not as big as you think.
No.
You know, and you know what? Fuck them. Like, you don't want to you have no business working at a place that, like, especially the medical thing, that just blows my mind. I to this day, I'm like, if you're in the medical field and you refuse to get vaccinated, like, I don't even want you, like, even looking at my fingernail. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, I worked at a hospital for a while. It was Harrington Memorial Hospital. It was right on the border of Massachusetts and Connecticut in Southbridge. And every time I got paid, I had to go get my paycheck in the HR department area. They gave me vaccines. I got vaccinated against all sorts of shit when I worked there. And honestly, I mean, I was much younger. I wasn't like super, but like it was all sorts of random shit. And they're like, if you work here, you got to get vaccinated. And I did it. And that was that. I mean, it was like no one even thought about it. And these people that work at healthcare facilities and hospitals, I'm sure they've all been vaccinated against all sorts of shit. And they never thought about it until some giant orange crybaby started making it a political issue.
But it's not even, he's not even the issue anymore. Like,
not anymore, but he's
now it's more, well, I mean, Tucker Carlson's like a weird orange looking thing, and Joe Rogan's a shitbag, and all these other people that like major news, like major media, major internet media. That
Trump was anti-vaccine before coronavirus even existed.
He ran as a anti-vax president in 2016, but even now he's telling people to get vaccinated. Or now he'll just say, like, the best was, he's not really telling people. He just did it one time. He had that freaking COVID party in Alabama. Alabama was being like, terrorized by COVID, and he has that, and then he tells them to go get vaccinated.
They boo him,
and they boo him, and then he's just like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Make sure to buy like 3 T-shirts before you leave, just in case you drop dead and I can't get your money anymore.
I read this thing about Alabama today. This is disgusting. So Joe Biden and the Democrats give all these states money to fight the coronavirus, right?
Yep.
And Kay Ivey, who is the dim-witted despot of the dim-witted state of Alabama, gets up there. She took all that coronavirus money and she used it to build prisons.
I mean, that's like literally all Alabama is. I mean, what this face who's from Alabama. What's that scumbag? That guy. The funny thing is, this guy was too racist to be. What was his name? The guy.
You talking about Tommy Tuberville?
No, he's a current senator. It was the other guy who was senator, and he left and became
the Keebler elf.
General. Yeah, he looked like
Jeff Sessions.
Yeah, Jeff Foxworthy. You might be no. He didn't in like the 80s or something. Like they tried putting him on something, and he was too racist back then. But now they don't give a shit because the racists can do whatever they want now because of Trump. All his money came from private prisons. He was a guy from Alabama. I mean, I'm not shocked by that. It's disgusting. This woman's a piece of shit. Well, I mean, that's absolutely disgusting. Your country, your state is being ravaged by COVID, and you like. Can't they be like? Yeah, you can't use the money for that.
You would think that they could request it back or bill them or whatever. Who knows?
I mean, this sounds like, I don't know, man. Some of these stories just sound insane. Like, really, they could just do that?
Yeah.
It just sounds like. I mean, like. It sounds too easy. Like, no, that seems too ridiculous.
Well, a lot of it is like it's almost like a hostage situation where like the government, like the Democrats in Washington are like, well, here, Ms. Ivey, we're going to give you $100 million to fight the coronavirus. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to take that 100 million and I'm going to build a prison. And you're like, okay, I need that money back. She's like, I'm still going to build the prison. Now I'm going to take it from my infant's milk program, and I'm going to put my.
Well, she's going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't understand how, like, there's like. I just, like, it's just so appalling. It's like I know what you're saying, though. Yeah, that woman's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that more later because I have some things to say about Joe Manchin and his
Joe Manchin shit. Yeah.
But anyway, the good news is a lot of these chuds are getting shit canned, and that's that. I mean, and these companies bent over backwards to accommodate them. you know?
There was this like one story. This guy was telling people about like how a friend of his or somebody he works with is willing to lose a commit. I guess whatever he does for a living, he makes really good salary, right? And he's willing to give up $300,000 to $500,000 commission because he won't get the vaccine. And this guy thinks that like this guy's 55 and like that he's going to be able to just go somewhere else with his freedom and get that same gig somewhere else. And it's like, no, dude, that's not a gig you could get somewhere else at 55. You're like you're an idiot. Like,
yeah. Yes.
I mean, like, really, you're gonna like people's brains are rotted that much that they're gonna lose their career or whatever over because they refuse to do something that probably a year ago or 2 years ago, if this thing wasn't politicized, they probably would have gotten it.
Yeah, definitely. Most people would have. There still would be some dead enders that didn't, but
the numbers would be so much lower. Like I said, if you didn't have Tucker Carlson, you didn't have Joe Rogan going on there and all these other chuds saying like it's your freedom and all that and making it out to be this bigger deal than what it is. To not get vaccinated, making it this bizarre, like you're losing your liberty, you're doing it's like, dude, you have to get vaccinated all the time. Like if you go in the military, they give you like 10 vaccines the minute you show up. Like,
it probably is just like
an issue.
No, it probably is just like a few hundred people that have like steered this conversation. Yeah,
but those few hundred people have like audiences of millions.
I'm just saying it's weird to think that like that Tucker Carlson is a thought leader.
And the thing is, the big joke too, the guy's fucking vaccinated. Yeah. Everyone at Fox News is vaccinated. And it's like none of these people put 2 and 2 together and realize that? Yeah. Clearly not. I mean, I guess if you're watching these people and listening to them, you're probably not a good thinker.
You're not. Yeah, you're there for
snob.
You're there for the feel-goodism of like owning the libs.
Yeah, pretty much. I just think it's insane. I would imagine that if COVID wasn't politicized the way it was, the vaccine rate would be 10% better everywhere.
Oh, easily.
I think that if jobs are like, you have to get vaccinated, people would be like, fine. Like, and the jobs wouldn't even have to make a big deal about it. It would just be like, yeah, this is part of the protocol. Here's a list of things you have to do. And it's like, oh, okay, done. Like we administer the shot here. Like it would be this big fucking deal. But because COVID became this political football, like the opposition to it is like so much greater than it really should be. There should be literally no opposition to it. It's like, yeah, dude, get vaccinated. Like,
it's crazy. I mean, they really should. Like, they could. I think this making people vaccinate to get work is probably a good start. You make it mandatory to travel by air. That would probably work too.
Yeah, I mean, they should be like. I mean, obviously, little kids don't have that. They don't have it yet, so that's a different story. But like, you shouldn't be allowed to be on a fucking plane. Like, where are you flying, sir? Oh, you're from Texas and you're flying into like Connecticut? No, you can't go there, sir. Connecticut has like 80% vaccinated, and you're from a state that's like 40%. Yeah, no, sir, you have to get vaccinated. Like, I mean, unfortunately, that's what makes us the United States, that we can go travel interstate and do all that. But that would open up an argument, and we wouldn't be the United States. But I mean, fuck, dude. Like, if you're in an area, like, you should listen. Most countries won't let you in if you're not vaccinated.
Well, I follow a couple bands like on their Facebook page. I'll read about them, and a lot of them are starting to perform live again, and they all have these really rigid protocols where you have to like prove that you've been vaccinated, and they have ID cards that state their vaccination status. A lot of them are still mandating masks at concerts, even if everyone there is vaccinated and stuff. They make you get tested like 24 hours before, even if you've been vaccinated. I mean, it's like
good. I mean, this is how you get rid of it. This is how you get rid of COVID, is by doing all these measures so that like COVID doesn't get to grow and mutate and turn into something else. What was it? Okay, so Patton Oswalt put like a thing. This was a couple of weeks ago. He said announced that he canceled some dates because he's like, I'm only playing in theaters that make you have to be vaccinated or tested. I'm not going to do any shows in places. So he canceled some places, and as a reaction, Jim Brewer.
Oh yeah,
Jim Brewer.
Right. Yeah.
Goat Man or whatever his name is.
Balls. God, I forgot about that character.
Goat Balls.
Right. Goat Boy, I think.
Goat Boy, sorry. Well, Goat Boy, I'm sure has goat balls too. Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
He said, I won't play at a place that what was it? Like if you are vaccinated, you can't go or something.
Yeah.
Or no, he said he won't play at places that require masks and vaccinations. He won't play there. It's like people are like, who are you?
Yeah, like there's a big surplus of people dying to see Jim Brewer.
This guy is not funny at all. I think he was funny when he was Goat Balls back in the day. And in Half Baked, he just played like.
That's what I was going to say. Is in Half Baked, he was like a character, which was fine, but
he did one season of Saint Live, which I'm shocked. I thought it was more, but he was only.
Oh yeah.
The only thing funny about years ago, he was on like the radio a lot. He became more of a radio guy because he basically was on SNL for just like a little bit, and he would just have these funny stories about Chris Kattan. So and Chris Kattan always seemed a little bit of douchey. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy just kind of seemed like it. So Jim Brewer telling these stories was funny. He would tell honest stories because he didn't give a fuck. But over the years, he's just become more and more like an Adam Carolla, maybe even worse. Now he's just like deep end, just not even funny, like to the point where you're just like, are you even a comedian, dude? Like, are you funny? Like,
you're just an angry guy.
Like, and you're angry for like the dumbest reasons.
Yeah,
he was on like Tucker Carlson, and I just saw the clip, and the man looks like fucking shit. No offense to people.
Oh yeah.
Mike, listen, I'm not trying to be a snob. There's nothing against the people who look like shit. Just, you guys do you. But Jim Brewer looked like shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was funny. That was probably the only funny thing that guy's done in years.
Well, on similar lines, another funny thing is that YouTube has decided that they're going to deplatform anti-vax personalities.
Have you seen any examples of this though? Like,
no,
did they announce anyone in particular?
No, they didn't. Or if they did, I didn't see it. I mean, they may have explained this.
There's reporters I follow, and they were posting all kinds of videos, like on their thing, like images of videos that are still up that are just straight up anti-vax information. And they're like, what do you mean, YouTube? I thought, like YouTube makes these statements. Facebook does this shit too. They do these things where they claim they're gonna like, self-regulate or do these things. And they don't, because YouTube knows that they really went after people who were anti-vax. Steven Crowder would be taken down. They would take down Joe Rogan videos. They would take down Jimmy Dore. They would take down stuff from Fox News, Tucker Carlson video. Any of that stuff would be taken down. What will happen is YouTube will remove some of the most extreme fringe stuff. And then the joke is that you're going to see a lot of left-leaning progressive YouTube and people posting correct information. You're going to see their videos get taken down because they'll be talking about the chuds pushing anti-vax. So YouTube will just see the word we'll just see. So just the discussion of anti-vax, like, and I've seen this happen before to channels like this, where they've had videos taken down where YouTube's like, we're taking reference to like Alex Jones down or anything like that. So then people who were like reporting on it and telling you what a piece of shit Alex Jones was, were getting taken down too. It's like they just see it, they remove it. So I don't. And unless I see a tweet from like Steven Crowder crying about how his channel was completely removed and he's off of YouTube, I don't believe it.
I have mixed feelings on this. One, I do think that like that's kind of an impossible task. People upload shit to YouTube constantly. There's always going to be shit on YouTube that shouldn't be there. That's always going to be a never-ending battle. And also, I think you're right. I think a lot of people are going to be able to slip by on technicalities, basically saying, hey, we're just here to examine both sides.
Well,
and then
I'm saying YouTube will go after the channels that are actually like telling you about how they would go after us, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, well, I think that'll happen too. And then I think also it's just going to be, I don't know, there's going to be a lot of loopholes. I do though, and this is the good news, I think, is that I'm always a fan of, even if it's not possible to enforce it, when companies come out and say this is bullshit. Like I like that YouTube said anti-vax material is unacceptable and it has no place on here. And even if they don't enforce that to the degree to which I like that we all agree, me and YouTube, that those people are bullshit.
Yeah,
you
but
know what I
YouTube,
mean?
and YouTube can say that, but if they're not removing some of the big, I'm not talking about like these accounts. So like this isn't just like some rando or anything like that. Like these accounts get like millions of views. Like Tim Pool has one of the highest rated YouTube shows. He's always pushing anti-vax shit, or he'll claim he's not, but he has like anti-vaxxers on his show, or you know what I mean? Like until YouTube removes his 3 channels that generates millions of views a day, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I mean, anyone could say something like they're this, like I'm an ally to this and this, and then they vote against it, you know?
I do think it's a good start, though. I'm glad they said it.
Yeah, it is. And maybe it could put a little fear. There was like an article, there was like a picture of Robert F. Kennedy.
Oh,
no, Robert Kennedy's son.
Yeah, okay.
You know, he's like a massive anti-vaxxer.
Right. The guy out in California, yeah.
Yeah. He's like one of the worst like anti-vaxxers out there.
Oh, yeah.
He's just gotten worse over the years. And it's weird too, because it's like, you know, he's like a Democrat, he was progressive. I remember like during the Bush years. And then, dude, man, the guy's just falling.
Yeah.
It's weird too, because like, you know, we talk about this, but the anti-vax, like, I was always seeing like more of like a kind of like a hippier, like more on like the crunchier side of being anti-vaccine,
like a natural health thing, or
questioning it and all that bullshit, and then like, well, not bullshit, questioning it, and then it just got completely taken over by like right-wing personalities. So it's weird that like Robert Kennedy's like swims in these same circles now.
Yeah, that is strange.
Sure. You know, Sirhan might get out of jail.
Right. Yeah. That is
what if Sirhan, instead of shooting Robert Kennedy, Sirhan gives Robert Kennedy's son the vaccine, and he's like, you know, I may have killed your father.
Jesus.
And I'm gonna save your life.
Yeah. Well, it is
with this life-saving vaccine.
Sirhan, I forgot about him getting up for parole, because we were talking about John Hinckley coming up for parole too.
Yeah. Classic.
Right.
Assassins.
Political assassons getting paroled. That's
You know, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he got out, Sirhan. There was talks of it.
Right.
But, that could be like a good like like an arc, you know, where he saves Robert Kennedy's life.
That'd be good.
And then Sirhan gets wings and flies away.
Well, Sirhan, I think right now it has like dementia or something. I think I read an interview.
Sirhan has dementia.
I think he was saying like he doesn't even remember shooting Robert F. Kennedy.
Yeah, that classic old. Who? Robert? What? I don't remember anything. I'm just a sweet old man.
Did they catch the guy who did it? What? It was me.
Yeah, he's in the room with you. He's sitting in the same chair as you.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could just talk about John Hinckley real quick. I mean, were we going to talk about that later on, or?
No, just after you mentioned Sirhan.
Yeah, okay, okay, well, we'll just get this on. So John Hinckley supposedly getting out of jail.
Yeah.
Speaking of conspiracies.
Was he the Jodie Foster one too?
He was the one that supposedly said he did it for Jodie Foster as a reaction to a movie that, you know, and I hadn't even thought about at the time. Like, Okay,
Taxi
so
driver, right?
actually, okay, so John Hinckley Jr. shoots Ronald Reagan in 1981.
Right.
Taxi Driver came out in like 74,
Yeah.
75. Like, and it's not like they had like VCRs really back then.
No.
What the fuck was Taxi Driver playing on? It probably wasn't playing on any networks. It was like a freaking hard rated R film.
Maybe it was in like a revival movie theater or something.
Okay,
Or...
so here's a good conspiracy theory for you. This is when conspiracies were good, not
yeah,
run by anti-vax chuds and like QAnon nonsense. This is a good conspiracy.
right.
I mean, I don't know if it's good. It's so John Hinckley
Yeah.
is a member of the Hinckley family. I mean, it
Right.
makes sense, right? It's kind of
So it works.
but the Hinckley family were huge Bush donors.
Oh.
And George Herbert Walker Bush had a contentious primary with Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And they were huge donors. And right, and this is early on in Ronald Reagan's term,
Yeah.
very early on in his term, that he gets shot by John Hinckley. Neil Bush was supposed to have dinner with one of the Hinckley family, and they had to cancel the plan after
Right.
Ronald Reagan was shot by John Hinckley Jr.
Wow.
So just a fun conspiracy.
Yeah, read that
Probably
in.
based on like fact. Hey, you know that you have that hey, you remember when we were summering and like Marvin Gaye,
Kennebunkport.
yeah, or whatever, because they're a bunch of rich fucks in Northeast. I always love that George W. Bush is this Texan. It's like,
Yeah,
dude, from
right.
you're literally like a left coast elitist. Like you could not get any more East Coast elitist than the Bush family.
No.
It's like, hey, you know, this is like one of the fun conspiracies. Like, hey, you know, you're crazy. He's like George Herbert Bush, like, yeah, I really, you know, this is my way to become president. Hey, you know that your crazy cousin?
Right.
Oh, the one that was like chasing the ducks when we were the one chasing the goose, the one fucking the goose, you mean? The Wacky John, as we like to call him. Weird John, the one we don't let the kids stay in the room with alone.
The one out back with a Betamax copy of Taxi Driver.
Well, that's always been like the joke, is that like he didn't do because Jodie Foster. They told him probably to say that or some shit, because it was like a no. Because in the movie Taxi Driver, remember he tried Travis Bickle tried to shoot the guy running for mayor or whatever.
Right.
It's like an assassination attempt. So that's why it's like it was like a big movie and like people knew about it.
Yeah.
Really controversial film. So it's like, why don't we take that and use it again? This is conspiracy.
Sure.
But fact being, the Hinckley family were huge Bush donors, and Bush did not like Ronald Reagan. So that's and I know this is your entrance way to QAnon. No, I was kidding. Right. No, usually they don't focus on things like that.
I'm going to go do my research. I'm going to go do
the research, man. Everyone knows that John Hinckley Jr. did not shoot Reagan because of Jodie Foster. Right. It was because of Miss Piggy in The Great Muppet Caper. All because of Miss Piggy in The Great Muppet Caper. Yeah. Everyone knows that. It's a known fact. And the sacred trilogy.
Right. Well, be that as it may, there's one more piece of good news. Well, and that's
supposedly he's getting out of prison now, right?
No, I was going to switch gears completely. Yeah. He's I was going to say that the last piece of our good news trilogy was that the vaccination for children should be out relatively soon. It's been submitted. There's no reason to think it won't get approved. Looks effective, looks safe. Hope to get.
I mean, my kid, your kid, and like 4 other kids in our area will get vaccinated.
Right. Yeah,
because the rest of the people who live here are
Well, I wonder. That's an interesting point. I wonder, because I know that there are people like us that are going to get their kid vaccinated. And I know that there are people that aren't going to get their kid vaccinated. I wonder what percentage of people don't want their kid wearing a mask, but don't have any problem getting them vaccinated. You know what I mean? Like,
why would you not want your kid wear a mask?
But there's a group out there like that, and I just wonder how big that group is.
Oh, I imagine the group of people who don't let their kids get masked are definitely not letting their kids get vaccinated.
Oh, you don't think so?
Wait, people who don't let their kids wear masks won't
Yes.
get. No, of course they're not going to let their kid get vaccinated either. These are like, why would you not? That doesn't even make any sense. Like I would think that people who were scared of the vaccine, you have a better chance of like having someone being like, well, I'll still wear a mask.
Yeah.
Because I just don't trust the vaccine, but I'm going to wear a mask because I still take this seriously. No, these clowns don't take it seriously. If their kids are not wearing masks, it's a fucking really good chance they're not vaccinating their kids.
Yeah, could be.
That's like, I mean, like, what reason is your kid not wearing a mask? I want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know what reason why. Well, because it's itchy? That's not a fucking reason. Like,
right.
There's better masks out there. Do the research. No, I'm not even kidding. There's so many. You know what? I've been wearing these for a year. I finally found the best KN95 mask that don't itch me.
Yeah.
And you know what? Because I did
your research.
No, I think my wife just ordered a different one on Amazon, and I benefit from it. Yes, I did the research, brother. I did the research. No, these fucking clowns that don't wear masks. The ones that like, you mean like when you go to look at Target or Whole Foods and the parents aren't wearing a mask and the kids aren't wearing a mask? Those motherfuckers aren't getting vaccinated. I highly doubt it. I would maybe like, okay, if you told me there were like 100 of them in a room, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 10 of them.
Well, that's 10%. That's like a decent amount.
That's pathetic.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's like, if you figure there's 100 people in a room and you figure 30 are going to get their kids vaccinated and 40 or 50 aren't, then adding 10 to the vaccinated pile, that's significant.
It's not enough to get, again, you need to get over 70% vaccinated to kill this, to help get rid of the virus and not make it a thing that you have to worry about getting. So no, I don't think if some fucking stupid parent doesn't put a mask on their kid for God knows what reason. Now I'm not talking like a 2-year-old, I'm talking like a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old, like 2 and under. They say you shouldn't anyway because they like you just shouldn't. You just want to see their beautiful smiling faces, of course. But I mean, like, these fuckers aren't getting that. No way. Well, no way. I would be shocked. And then if they did get vaccinated, I'd be like, why do you wear a mask? And I wouldn't even ask. My
theory has always been that there's a sizable group of people that just go along with going along.
Yeah,
and
but
they're in school and the school says, but when you're in school and the school says, you don't gotta wear a mask, and most kids aren't, they're not going to wear a mask. But then when you go to your pediatrician and the pediatrician's like, hey, you should get vaccines A, B, C, and D, they're going to be like, okay. That's just going to be their approach to
not
life.
This COVID one. See, you're thinking like this is you have a pre-COVID mindset. I'm not even kidding. That's totally true. I mean, like, the Republicans would say like, you're thinking a pre-9/11. They would do that anytime like lead up to the Iraq war. You're in a pre-9/11 world. They would say stuff like that. It's to like discount anything you say. But the reality is, that is a very pre-COVID way of thinking, in that not because like you don't understand COVID, more like the amount of disinformation out there. That parent is just going to be like, fuck you, I'm not going to go to you anymore. I'm not going to send my kid to this pediatrician anymore. Now I'm going to go to Dr. Bombay from the Bewitched show.
Bewitched.
Yeah.
Calling Dr. Bombay.
He prescribed me his pills that he
forget about him pills.
Forget me now. Job's forget me now.
Yeah. Well, look, if I knew Dr. Bombay was an option, he'd be my primary care physician.
Oh, you clearly did the research.
Yes. I would say, but right up there with Dr. Teeth, he would be like my
Dr. Detroit.
Dr. Detroit. Dr. Teeth would be the kind of the doctor that would prescribe you a bag of edible Cheetos, like just.
Right, and he's going to charge you. He's not going to give you for free for following, despite what the Bensalem Police Department wants.
He'll call Nurse Janet to come and get you a bag out of the back.
This stuff isn't free, man. $30, please. Animal loves THC.
I would say I would say, yeah, the jury's still out, I suppose, and all that. But I am super excited, as I know you are, to have access to a children's vaccine. I think that's going to be great.
You know what I can't stand is when people adopt words that you haven't. I'm not accusing you of it. But I've seen a lot of people. So like the anti-vaxxers use the term jab, the jab.
Yes, yeah.
The negative connotation to it. And I can't stand that.
Right.
Fucking word. But people will use it. People will get vaccinated. They'll use it. And it's like, dude, don't use their words.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, it sounds fucking stupid. It's a stupid word. But like, don't use it. That's where it comes from.
Well,
like,
it completely removes the science from it. You're not even calling it a vaccination anymore. That's what it is. It's a scientific instrument. It's a vaccination, and they're calling it the jab. It sounds like comical and stupid and lighthearted. I agree.
People use it. It's like how we get like. That's where right-wing like talking points like can be very effective. Like I've seen people even use like the Al Gore inventing the internet. People who vote for Al Gore and they would say, it's like, dude, that is what you're just using. It's amazing how effective it could be. And I see like people in progressive outlets, people who are pro-vaccine, people are all these things, and they'll use that term. And I'm like, stop using the jab. It's a fucking Yeah,
it's frustrating.
You're just helping them.
Yeah,
it's a negative connotation, and like you said, it makes it stupid.
Yeah.
All right, so my kid vaccinated, and the first thing I said, "One jab, please."
So
one jab, please, and then jab shows up.
Switching gears to this is a sad story. You texted me the other day about an amoeba attack.
Amoeba Records?
No, I actually get stuff from Amoeba. Free
nice.
shipping.
What's that one song? Is it Amoeba, or am I thinking of some? Oh no!
No! You there is a song Amoeba.
Amoeba, right?
Well, I think we were at your place once, and your kid was.
Is that the adolescent song?
I think so. Doing a karaoke.
Are they saying Amoeba? I don't know. Are they saying some other word? And I'm just like, I'm just gonna look it up and see if it even shows up.
Yeah, adolescents. Amoeba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good song.
That is a good song.
You want to get your kid hooked up on that. What you don't want your kid to get hooked on is a brain-destroying amoeba.
Yeah, it's gruesome. Now, this happened, what was it, in Fort Worth?
Arlington, Texas.
Arlington. Okay, yeah. So
not far from us, like literally less than 30 miles away.
Yeah. And it was a kid of the splash pad, and he got a brain-eating amoeba, and then he died, right?
Supposedly, yeah.
Fuck.
You told me stories about in Florida, though, how people would get like, they would go on there like 4x4s or whatever, get mud, and then get like a brainy amoeba that would by their brains.
It happened fucking all the time. Okay.
And where? In what part of?
Well, this was in LaBelle, Florida. And I worked in LaBelle. I love the town of LaBelle. It's a real rural, real conservative town, but I like the town a lot. I got a lot of affection for it. And anyway, what I don't have a lot of affection for was one of the pastimes of LaBelle is that people would get on their ATVs or three-wheelers or whatever. And in Florida, once you get away from the tourist areas, almost all the roads in Florida have these ditches on the side of them. You know, the land in Florida is all like mucky and swampy, and it's all wet all the time. And it's really weird.
There's like gators everywhere too.
Fucking gators everywhere, and snakes, and there's like lizards just everywhere. It's like you shouldn't live there. Right. It's like the Lost World. I mean, it really is, like, but with slower moving and smaller dinosaurs. And so anyway, all these kids would get out in their ATVs and they'd go mudding without the G. And they would just literally go in these ditches of warm, brackish water. And this water, it was like shit brown. And it was like warm to the touch, like tea that's cool enough to drink, but still hot. Stool? Like a stool? Yeah. Well, I think that's it, is that the temperature is basically body temperature. So shit lives in there forever. I mean, it's like a very nice environment, and kids would constantly suck up brackish mud water in their noses.
What is that word?
It's a mix of salt and fresh water.
Oh, okay.
They'd suck up this water into their brain cavity, and then an amoeba would turn their brains to soup. I mean, just like
that's pretty much what happened to this kid in Texas. So it's like with global warming and shit like that, it's like areas are going to become more like Florida, more and more.
Yeah. The viruses and amoebas and all that shit will thrive further and further away from the equator and deeper and deeper into the year. And so it used to be that shit like this would happen near the equator in the summer. And now shit like this can happen in Arlington in September.
Yeah, like we're not that south of even though it's weird, like, are we considered the South? Kind of, but like we're way north of Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, like perpendicular, like we're north of Florida, right?
Yeah, we're like more parallel to like Little Rock than we are
closer to the middle of the country where we're located. I mean, Texas is an odd shaped state that like dips down a lot into like where Mexico is and everything. But like it's such a big state. We're northern Texas. This shit should not be happening here.
No.
I mean, it gets hot here, but it shouldn't. No. I mean, I just think about that because, like, my son doesn't go on splash pads anymore. He used to love them. Yeah. Chico, when he was a baby, we'd take him. There was like a splash thing in the town square. People called it the homeless people's bathtub.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
But he loved it, and we didn't even think about it twice. We were like, and he would put his hand on it. And water definitely was getting that nasty ass water was definitely getting. I think they chlorinated that water though.
I was going to say,
sure you said that. You were like, when I told you about the splash pad, you're like, it wasn't chlorinated. I'm like, I don't know. You would think that. I mean, it's probably just running water. I mean,
I don't know what it was. I know in Florida, if I couldn't smell the chlorine in the water from like 6 or 7 feet away, my kid wasn't going in it. Like I needed that. I needed my kid to come out blonde. Like
like an albino.
Yeah.
My kid goes in the pool, he better come out looking like powder.
We had a swimming pool when I was growing up in Florida, and my dad would put in something called muriatic acid into the pool. I still fucking like this white powder, and I remember like wanting to help my dad like treat the pool, and he's like, "Don't go near it!"
Like don't burn your flesh off.
It's
okay to swim in.
Well, you pour like a couple scoops in a pool of like 1 million gallons or whatever it dilutes. But I mean, like over the summer, I'd be swimming in pools, not just at my house, at friends' houses or whatever. You come out, your eyes are like fucking blood red.
You need goggles and stuff. I remember that.
You can fold your hair and shit like after.
You have to take a shower. Like you got to shower immediately after you go in some of these pools.
But if you don't, you get soup brain.
It's insane. And the thing is, like as we talk, I mean, at the end of the day, COVID exists because of global. You said it was globalization. We talked about this. Globalization. What else was it?
Deforestation.
Deforestation and
global warming.
Global warming and globalization. Regardless of what people say, you said it's a good thing in some ways, but unfortunately, you get deforestation and global warming included.
Right. See, globalization, like in a perfect world, globalization is real nice. I like having people from all over the world in my community. I like that. I like getting,
don't live in the same place.
In a perfect world, a farmer in Guatemala selling avocados should be able to tap into the American market and sell his avocados at a profit to people with money. And we should be able to buy those avocados for cheaper than it would cost to grow them. I mean, like it should work out well for everyone. It doesn't, but there are elements of it that do work well for a lot of people.
Usually they're already rich. That's true. They already have the systems created to make more profit. It's usually I always like, you ever see like those things where you get like coffee and it's just like this goes to a farmer in like some like African or country or South America, and I'm like, does it really?
Right.
I mean, the photo of the guy, he looks like a nice man.
Right.
That nice man though is like royalty. It's like, oh, look at this simple. It's like they play on like the kind of like a little bit soft racism of
Yeah,
Americans. And
his
like,
name is like Jose Ecuador because he owns Ecuador. It's like
what's his name? Like, what was the famous drug lord?
Juan Valdez,
No, no, yeah,
the coffee guy.
No, the famous drug lord that they,
Pablo Escobar.
yeah, Pablo. I'm like, his name is Paul Escobar.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well, I like, so there's a bunch of globalization I like, but what sadly comes along with it and is terrible is deforestation, where they like completely gut the forests, and then whatever bullshit diseases were living in the forest travel into urban areas.
Yep.
And then because of globalization, they spread everywhere. And because of global warming, they can thrive everywhere. You know, I mean, like, so you have, I mean, it does make sense. Like there's, and I don't know, I won't even use this as an example because the coronavirus, who knows really the origins of it. But
dude, it was made in a lab.
But like, let's just say, like, you know, it probably did come from, you know,
they call it the wet market.
Yeah, like a wet
that
market.
Sounds so gross.
Disgusting. But like Ebola or whatever, like normally that shit's contained to like a deep forest, and then they start cutting down the forest because they can sell lumber or rubber or whatever's in that forest.
Dude, those IKEA boxes with those bad instructions don't grow on. I guess they do grow on trees.
They do. They are trees. And then the next thing you know, you have like some fucking weird virus that nobody has any natural immunity for. It's like when the Europeans came to the Americas.
We don't have to worry about that because everyone will get the vaccine. We don't have nothing to worry about.
Idiots. Well, anyway, so there was an amoeba attack, and that's super fucked up. And there's going to be more. You know, there's going to.
Like I said, I'm kind of glad that my son outgrew those like 6 years ago. You know, well, thinking about that, I'm like, he used to go to those things all the time.
I'll tell you, me and my kid, and this is because I lived in LaBelle and I saw a lot of kids get sick this way. Me and my kid will every once in a while we'll go to like the lake around here and we'll go paddle boarding or you know kayaking or something like that, and always in the back of my head I'm thinking like, you know, it's a pretty warm day and this water's real warm, and like that's how shit like that happens. I mean it really.
Yeah, we went to a lake earlier in the summer, and of course water gets in my son's mouth because he's taking swimming lessons and shit once in a while, and I'm like, dude, do not swallow that.
Yeah,
I mean the water wasn't hot or anything, but like still, ew.
Well, I think like swallowing it, I think the big way it gets in is like you inhale it and then it gets in your lungs and then it goes from there.
That was months ago. I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah, it can get in your eyes too and your ears and shit like that. I don't know if you ever saw like Wrath of Khan, but you know the little basic.
I saw that scene when I was a kid, and it freaked the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Let me tell you though, like that and that scene in Flash Gordon, the movie.
Oh yeah.
His hand in that thing, and it's supposed to like bite you. That stuff scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah. That was wasn't that one of the James Bond? Who was that was with him in there?
Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, listen, there's gonna be brain-eating amoebas everywhere. Yes. No, it's just something you see and you're just like, ugh. But it is a sign that global warming and I mean, like, I don't know, the town splash pad shouldn't have a fucking brain-eating amoeba in it. That seems weird. This isn't a swamp.
Well, ideally, like, this is part of that anti-science trend where people don't want to hear about global warming, and they don't want to hear about how, you know, maybe the climate is changing in a way that like we're going to start to be affected by shit like this. And then who knows, now maybe people aren't going to trust antibiotics, you know, like the types of antibiotics you need for this type of
that's like I said, it's like that whole the anti-vax movement is going to enjoy COVID because, well, I mean, they're going to enjoy it because a lot of them are going to get it, but I mean, a lot of them are enjoying it because their numbers have probably grown, because we talked about this last week. If we're all fine with you know, vaccines, but for some reason you have an issue with this one, guess what? You're gonna have issues with all of them. It doesn't stop here. It does not stop unless you convince yourself that there's nothing wrong with this vaccine. You have entered a rabbit hole, and it's just gonna get deeper, and you're not gonna get any vaccines.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. I mean, I just don't believe that bullshit of like, oh, it's just this one.
No. It's that's the slippery slope, because there will be something next.
Yeah, the bar will just it's like the lie of like, well, I'm not gonna get the vaccine because it wasn't FDA approved.
Yeah.
Hey, we approved it.
Oh, yeah, but
yeah,
I mean, eventually they'll get like something that will treat some other terrible thing, and they'll be suspicious of that and whatever. Well, speaking of things that suck, the Democrats have not yet killed the filibuster.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't
think it's gonna happen with people like Joe Manchin and Kristen Cinnabon.
I saw Cinnabon. I saw something today where people were bitching about Joe Manchin, and look, I hate Joe Manchin. Don't get me wrong. I hate Joe Manchin, and I hate Joe Manchin's kid. But
Manchin. That's not her
name. I get that. Look, if we get a Democrat in West Virginia, that's a win. It just is. Like that's like getting a Democrat elected in Texas or
I know it's like whatever, but like I know Arizona is not the same anymore. Arizona, I wouldn't call Arizona a blue state, but like look, you got two Democratic senators now. Mark Kelly's in there, and Mark Kelly isn't like a super progressive in comparison.
He's reasonably progressive. I mean, he's
in comparison to Kristen Sinema.
Yeah,
he's not like to compare to them, but like the Democratic Party should. One, I think the Democratic Party in Arizona is going to fucking censor her. She's not going to be able to run as a Republican. The Republicans are not going to vote for her.
No.
She's, who knows? Like, they should fucking primary the shit out of her.
She's like a Tulsi, like, type of figure, to be honest.
Tulsi was I think this woman's worse because I think she's like effective. Tulsi wasn't effective. Like, Tulsi was just some, like, I don't know. This woman, like, I can't even describe her. She just sucks, Kristen Sinema. Like, she just reminds me of like some of these people. Like I said, she was like a Green Party person originally.
Yep.
Which is, honestly, I don't think that says anything good. The Green Party, like, fuck them. I've heard about these people for years.
Green Party's good if you're like 19 years old and you're just getting involved and stuff.
No, but it's not, because now that 19-year-old's not fucking voting on the right ticket. You're talking about how the young should vote, right? Last week.
Yeah,
the Green Party exists to get like people who are very naive into like not realizing like, hey, you know what? Especially in the state I'm in or whatever, I should. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna get that because then people be like, "Oh, you're a Democratic shill." No, I'm not. I don't want Republicans in power.
Yeah.
No, I don't want Republicans in power. Like. If you care for any of the stuff that you supposedly care about in the Green Party, you would do everything in your like best interest to make sure a Republican never gets elected again.
Yeah, I really dislike both Sinema and Manchin. I go back and forth on Manchin because on one hand, I do appreciate a Democratic vote coming out of West Virginia. I get that that's not easy. I get that we should kind of be glad that we're getting someone to caucus with us out of West Virginia. But then he gets up there and he's like bitching about like the debt limit, and he's saying that we need to trim spend. West Virginia literally exists off of federal spending. I looked it up.
Cut spending, and like the state has nothing without spending.
It's got an economy built off of like the Hobbits economy. I mean, it's basically like mining and shit like that. I mean, there's nothing there. People are fleeing the state. I looked it up. It's fifth in handouts, in federal handouts. If they stopped, if they only got out what they put in to like the government via taxes, I don't even know what they would do. I have no idea. They'd have to like remarket themselves as like a circus act or something, and film it as like a hee-haw revival. And he's sitting there saying we need to cut back on spending. Like, what are you fucking kidding me? Like, all West Virginia does is suck up spending. I don't know. That's galling. But Kristen Sinema pisses me off more because Arizona could elect reasonably progressive.
It's not just that. It pisses me off because it's like she's supposed to be this like person who was supposedly progressive. Like, she's been around for years, supposedly like she was like a Bernie supporter and stuff. It just reminds me of this person I knew who is like this so-called like super progressive, attended like this is like an example because they're very similar type of people.
Yeah.
Like alternative and looking at all that LGBTQ type, whatever, like bi, whatever. Like, someone who's like on the counterculture, looks like they're on the counter.
Right.
And it's like she like attended like the Seattle, like that first like real famous protest in Seattle, the one that about globalization. What was that group exactly? I forgot what it was. It was like a famous protest in Seattle in like 99 or 2000.
Yeah.
And then like, she gets like a decent gig at the company I was working at. All of a sudden she's like arguing for like the fucking death tax should be eliminated. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like your conviction's that shallow? Like really? Like the fuck out of here. Like really? The cinema's a piece of shit because she just represents like how easy it is for people to like, one, did you really care about any of this? We were just always an opportunist and use whatever avenue you can to like, so it was cool and sexy to be in this thing. So you did that to get into the position you're now.
Yeah.
And you're just a fucking soulless automaton. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people like that. The United States breeds those people. Like, I mean, we're all guilty in some ways of that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'm just saying it just makes me think of that. And it's just kind of disheartening. Like, everyone like is shitting on like AOC all the time. I see that like people like so-called leftists. I don't see any of them talking shit about cinema. Really? Not really. Like cinema is a huge fucking disappointment. She's literally giving like, listen, Joe Manchin sucks, right? We expect that from him, but we don't consider him an ally. Like he's not like when we see Joe Manchin, he's like, he has that famous ad of like shooting Obama. One second, shooting Obama. Or like he was threatening Obama. This was like a 2008 election or whatever, and he's shooting a gun. Like, you're not gonna take my gun away. We knew who he was. It's like,
no, I get that. I mean,
like cinema, you expect more from that.
Yeah, she should, especially with her personal history. Apparently, she grew up in kind of hard straits and everything, and it's like
well, good for her. She's making a bunch of money. She's worth over $1 million now.
Yeah, that's tough. Well, I hope they do primary the hell out of her, and I hope I hope someone unseats her. It's tough. Like you hate to, once you have a Democratic seat, you hate to rock the boat, or I hate to rock the boat. I'm like,
and it's not like she's just doing this like she's being coy or anything about it. She's like literally showing up at fundraisers that are literally for right winger, like for Republicans and shit. Like
she'll show up at a big pharma fundraiser, and she's like openly courting money from these people that are real hostile to the Democratic agenda. It's tough.
Which she is.
Yeah,
she is hostile to Democrats. She will sink the Biden administration.
Well,
I mean, listen, I hate saying, I see people say stuff like that, like, if Manchin and Kirsten Sinema prevent like this infrastructure thing, go to the Biden administration's over. It's like, oh, like, is it? I mean, no, it's not.
Right.
But like, it doesn't help. It doesn't help them.
No,
it doesn't. And then like, I don't know how it creates an argument for the Republicans to come in, though. I don't know how they, like, what do they have to offer?
Well,
because we were going to talk about that. Like, what do they have to offer?
Yeah.
And I always see that people have this like threat. Like, listen, cinema sucks. The duty of the Arizona Democratic Party now should be to try to get a better candidate, a more honest candidate, one that doesn't, maybe one that is like a centrist or whatever, but like, what you're dealing with, and they'll vote on the right way versus this so-called like ally or whatever that she tried to sell herself as.
It is tough. I'm real curious to see what, like, Republicans right now seem to just sell themselves off of, I'm a Republican and I'm against the Democrats and I like guns and hate masks. I mean, that's kind of like that's it in a nutshell.
And I'm also anti-vax.
Right. So it's hard to like see what, like, Democrats will say, hey, we want to give a child tax credit. We want to, increase free daycare or free preschool or whatever. We want to, there's like, and whether or not you like them or don't like them, you're like, okay, these are the ideas they're putting forward. But it's hard to see too many big Republican ideas other than, well, we're angry about this, or we don't like this, or
it's all like bullshit grievances.
Yeah, right. And it's like, even their position on like Afghanistan, you can't articulate their position. It's just like, well, we wouldn't have done it that way.
Did you see at the recent Trump rally, they're trying to do a Benghazi with Afghanistan, and they had they had like 13 like gravestones with the soldiers' names that were killed in there. And I'm like, this is Benghazi all over again. I don't know if we'll pick up the same steam. It probably won't, but they're gonna harp on it as much as they can. Well, I think it's nonsense because listen, it sucks they were killed, but you guys we're okay with like 1 million Americans dying of COVID. So
yeah, well, there's plenty of soldiers killed when Trump was in office. There was a group that was like ambushed in Nigeria. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened.
Yeah, but they're trying to do the Benghazi thing. I saw it. Like these guys, it's all political theater. They don't give a fuck about these 13 soldiers. No. One of the moms will show up. One of the moms of these soldiers will show up.
Always,
she'll be a speaker at one of the conventions, just like there was a woman who one of the moms of a kid who died in Benghazi. They spoke at the convention. They do this shit, I mean, it's all theatrics, and the parents that go along with it know full well what they're doing. We were talking about this before, but like I don't know, you said this just now, but like the big things Republicans in the past were able to offer was like
the free trade, low taxes, free trade.
And then it's like, okay, they could still offer low taxes. They'll show you like, oh, they're trying to take away the Trump tax cut. It's like, well, good. Yeah. Trump tax cut doesn't benefit us.
I did not receive a Trump tax cut, but
well, like there's things in the Trump tax cut that like are good for like independent and stuff like that, businesses like that, but we're gonna pay a big penalty after the 10 years.
Yeah.
There's like all kinds of fucking weird, like horrible shit that's gonna fuck the middle class even more after the 10-year period. They gotta get rid of this fucking thing. This thing is like
a time bomb.
It is a time bomb waiting to happen, and Cinema and Manchin are going to help keep it along. I don't. It's like people are like, "Oh, was she bought out? Was she a Republican plant the whole time?" The Joker being like a former Green Party. It's like, I don't know, Green Party. Maybe you need to do a better job,
right?
Vetting your candidates or the people that work for you. Let me tell you, the one thing I noticed about Green Party people, a lot of the ones they were. This is really funny. This is my experience with dealing with some of these people. They fucking hated the Democrats, right? But they wanted all these progressive things. You're going to be shocked by this. What do you think their parents were? Politically, what do you think their parents were?
Green Party people?
Green Party people, but their parents. What party do you think their parents probably were in line with politically?
I don't know. What do you...
Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
They didn't care. The parents were like, yeah, we don't give a shit if you're a Green Party. Go enjoy, as long as you don't vote Democrat.
Right, don't vote Democrat.
Yeah, I remember telling their parents were like right-wingers, and I'm just like, okay, so you just hate Democrats either way, and you're just going to vote for an ineffectual party that has no, like, oh, but if we all vote, then we'll get that third party.
No, just spoilers.
No, you're just a spoiler, dude. Like, go get some Congress people in there first. Like, go get some actual, like, funny, whenever you see like people like independent, like the independent senators and stuff like that, or independent Congress people, they're usually not affiliated in any of these bullshit parties. They're usually they're independent. That's it. Like, I know Bernie Sanders became a Democrat, but like when he was independent, was he with any party? I
don't think so.
I mean, he might have gotten support from the Democrats or a Democratic, like in New York, they have like the Workers' Party.
Right, yeah.
Is like basically a more progressive end of the Democratic Party. Like I used to find it bizarre. I would look at like when I would vote in New York when I was younger, and it would be like my first election. And it was Bill Clinton in '96 was my first time I could vote.
Yeah.
and which shows, if anyone's listening, how old I am, but also you probably realize how young I am compared to you, because I know your first election was with
Fillmore.
Eisenhower. Fillmore. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was being nice. Well, no, that was, Eisenhower was your 12th election.
Right.
But I remember looking at the ticket and it said like Bill Clinton was on the Democratic Party, but then he was on like the Workers' Party.
Yeah.
And then, like, George Bush or what, Bob Dole was on Republican, and the Conservatives like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Minnesota's like that too. I think they have like a farmers party or something. And yeah, it's kind of screwed.
They said in New York, like I remember even AOC was like, vote on, when you vote for Biden in New York, vote Workers' Party, but for Biden. So it's just a more progressive end, and it's like kind of, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't. It's still voting for Biden at the end of the day.
Yeah.
At least you feel, maybe it'll make people feel a little better, like, oh yeah, these are the true progressives. But like most people I knew who voted Green Party, they tended to come from parents who were Republicans. Did you ever see, there's a great Hard Times article, and like Hard Times is show, like the Onion, Hard Times. They had one where it's like uncle and what was it? Like, right-wing uncle and leftist niece both hate the Democrats. And they're both like, yeah. Like, they don't care. As long as the Democrats don't win, the uncle's like, thanks.
Yeah, right. Oh, fuck.
Oh, no. And then they'll say, no way, man. You're the useful idiot for the neoliberal. Like, shut up.
Jesus.
Shut up. Listen, like, I hate it because then people like cinema and stuff exist, and then you'll hear these stories where people are like, no, see, that's what Biden wants. Biden really wants Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin to do this so that the Democrats can get
give them cover. Yeah,
give them cover, which there could be some truths to that. Honestly, perhaps. It could be, because you could have, I mean, if they really wanted to do something, they would send people out on TV every day and basically just doing shit out of Joe Manchin and Chris. I mean, the Republicans are great at, like, if a Republican says like even the slightest of criticisms about Donald Trump, they will fucking excommunicate from the Republican Party.
Yep.
Like, look what happened with Liz Cheney.
Yeah.
Liz Cheney sucks. She's as right wing as it comes. It's right wing as it comes. The Republicans wouldn't get rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene, a buffoon, a useless buffoon who has nothing to offer. No, but like, they wouldn't even vote to get rid of her off of committees.
Right. Yeah.
This psychopath who's just useless. She's a fucking buffoon. And Liz Cheney, who's a horrible monster, but like the family is just like, is the Republican Party. Right. Yeah, it's insane.
It is screwy.
Like, imagine if the Democrats actually came out and like the way the Republicans came out against Liz Cheney for voting on
Trump's impeachment.
To vote on Trump's impeachment and questioning January 6th and everything like that. Imagine the Democrats came out and attacked Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you could say people who are in the Democratic Party think differently and work differently. They want to get things done. You could look at it that way. And at the end of the day, Republicans are mostly theatric.
Right. Yeah. Democrats have to be a little pragmatic.
Republicans, their whole mission is to make sure government doesn't work.
Right. Set it on fire.
Being distracted by bullshit. All right. So what was the next thing? I mean, we were talking about.
Well, we were talking about how the Democrats won't kill the filibuster, and that's kind of it. I mean, the next thing we're going to talk about is Kristi Noem's kid.
Yeah, tell me about. Okay.
So
this is funny.
Kristi Noem is. I always like saying her name because I like to imagine that she's married to David the Gnome.
The cartoon.
Yeah. like she's
Did you ever see I real quick, I saw this thing. It was like one of those like cracked videos, whatever. It was something like cartoon series that ended horribly or like sad.
Yeah.
And supposedly like David the Gnome, like him and his wife like die.
Oh, that makes sense. That was always kind of like a grim.
Yeah, supposedly like they lived their life there and they die in the end. Like they're just.
Yeah. I think I do remember that.
I mean, that's a good way. That's a real good way to end the series.
Yeah.
Hey, he's
pretty
dead.
definitive.
It's over. Dead. Sorry, kid.
Well, Kristi Noem is a horrible governor, and she's kind of like a Sarah Palin-ish character in that she's pretty, and she's kind of like a mavericky firebrand.
I'm a grizzly bear. I'm grizzly mom. That bullshit, like
lipstick. Well,
you know what they say about a lipstick. Well, I don't know. She said
so she is a super big Trump supporter too. Kristi Noem.
Wow. This is the person that sent she did that theatrics bullshit where some billionaire that didn't even live in South Dakota, they paid to send some National Guards down to the border.
Yeah, so
for no fucking reason.
She deployed the National Guard because of donor donated money, and so that's actually being investigated right now. And then the next thing, the thing she was in the news for today was that someone accused her of having an affair with Corey Lewandowski. But in between all this, over the last couple of days, apparently the story broke, and it looked real true that Kristi Noem's dumb kid Cassidy tried to get a real estate appraiser's license and couldn't pass the test. It didn't meet the minimum requirements. And so Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, brought her daughter to work one day, her 26-year-old adult daughter to work. And as the daughter was in the office, called the agency head who's in charge of giving out real estate appraisers licenses, and made her give her dumb daughter a license, and then made the agency head retire.
Well, to be fair, let's not say the daughter's dumb. We don't know.
She may not be dumb.
Well, I mean, she is Kristi Noem's daughter, though. So,
right. There's a lot of...
say the jury's out. Regardless, Kristi Noem's a horrible person. She abused her office, regardless of the daughter or not. But she abused her office as governor and basically forced the guy to resign.
Is a woman, a 70-year-old woman. Oh, so she probably should have been leaving anyway, but that's not the point, And now there's a couple funny side stories with this. First of all, is when this story came out a day or two ago, Kristi Noem was like, I'm not going to talk about this. This is ridiculous. I'm not addressing it. I don't have any comment. The end. Yeah,
the thing that I'm not going to talk about the thing that I did that's fucking illegal.
So but that's a common strategy. Guys. No
I'm
comment.
Fine with it.
Right. So then, like 24 hours later, it gets out in the news that she's having an affair on her husband with Corey Lewandowski. Right. And so then
I just like bang every right-wing chud.
Yeah.
Didn't he like get it on with what's her
face?
Hope Hicks.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy's just like he must be the stud of the Trump chudland or something.
Right. So Papa Chud.
He's the top chud. Chad. He's the chud Chad.
He's the apex chud.
Apex.
So then people are like, hey, we heard you're banging Corey Lewandowski. And then so
they said that. Those are the words they used.
Yes, that was the AP headline. So then then she's like, let's talk about my daughter and the allegations against me yesterday. It's just funny how it shifted from like, I'm not going to address it. Hey, I heard you're banging Corey Lewandowski. And then she's like, so let's talk about...
throw my daughter under the bus. She's a freaking moron. I'm just doing what every mother would do if they were, had the power of the governor.
Right. And if
you wouldn't do the same for your daughter or son?
And if you don't ask me, you can ask my Secretary of State, Lori Loughlin's kid. You can ask my...
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Felicity Huffman. Wait, was it Felicity Huffman?
I think so. Yeah. So, and then subsequent to this, they started doing some digging, and apparently she hired all her children on state salaries of like $70,000 a piece.
That's like the entire Trump administration.
And was giving them raises left and right, even when there were salary freezes and shit like that going on. So anyway.
Way to take advantage of, again, just gets worse and worse. Yeah.
Right. But fortunately, she's under investigation from South Dakota's Attorney General.
Oh, good. I'm sure that she will face all kinds of consequences.
Who you may remember from his drunk driving manslaughter charges that are still pending, where he got tanked, ran over a dude, claimed he thought it was a deer, but then the cops found some dude's sunglasses or eyeglasses in his glove box that he pried off his radiator and put these bloody eyeglasses in his glove box. And so he's on the job. He's on the job. What a fuck show South Dakota must be.
But it's like because it's like nothing's gonna come out of this.
Well,
what's gonna happen? What's gonna come out of this? She's gonna like get away with it.
I don't know, but I do know this. Another story leaked about Corey Lewandowski today. Apparently, this is another great story. Apparently, there's a brand new Republican donor on the scene, and he wanted to get involved in Republican politics. And his wife's name is Trashelle.
Trashelle?
Yes.
That's not a real name.
Trashelle. Like Trishelle or Michelle, but trash.
Okay.
The beginning. It's like her sister's name is probably like Garbage Lena or something.
Yeah. Jump pile.
So anyway, Trashelle and her husband went to Vegas to a MAGA fundraiser, and Corey Lewandowski was there, fresh off his time with Kristi Noem, allegedly. So this woman, Trashelle, said that Corey Lewandowski was basically like grinding up against her, and then she wouldn't get with him, so he threw a drink in her face. Like,
man, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah, he's a rage, and he was saying like, you don't get near Trump if you don't, get with me, or it's just like a real yeah.
You gotta.
He did this in front of like 10 witnesses.
Yeah, what's gonna come out of it?
Well, about a couple hours ago, Trump World fired Corey Lewandowski.
Trump World?
Trump released a statement saying Corey Lewandowski is no longer affiliated with the Trump.
Bullshit. They will, if he runs for president again.
Oh, of course.
Corey Lewandowski will be back because he doesn't know anyone else.
But Corey
Lewandowski's a piece of shit. So
they hired to replace him Pam Bondi, the former.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
She's not. I thought she was still part of Florida. It's like
no.
Isn't she basically like just a female Corey Lewandowski?
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, she's a staunch defender of traditional marriage. Loves it so much that she's done it multiple times. And
some people they don't know what to decide or stick around. What was her most famous thing though when she was?
She was investigating a Trump campaign violation, and then
they paid her off.
Trump donated $25,000 to her campaign, and then she called off the investigation. So
to get money, just threaten to investigate.
Here's what I do know about Republicans is that they are hot garbage even to each other. And it wouldn't surprise me if someone saw Kristi Noem and said, you know what, she might make a play for president or this, that, or whatever, and decided to cut her off at the legs and either made up this story or leaked this story. They saw that there was like a lot of like bullshit piling up at Kristi Noem's table.
At the end of the day, Kristi Noem. Okay, so let's say this is like I've noticed this about Republican primaries. There's always like this song and dance that they do that always leads to the old white guy getting it. And I know, Biden got it, he's the old white guy, but this is how it works. Is the Republicans will have like 10 or 12 candidates, or sometimes 30, but like they'll have like a certain amount during the debates. They'll have like the one crazy black dude.
Yep.
And they'll have like one or two women. And for a minute, the media will try to convince people and make you think the crazy black Republican is going to be the one that they're voting for. They're not going to.
Herman Cain or Ben Carson.
Yeah. Well, Herman Cain at least was like funny. Ben Carson's disgusting. Like Herman Cain at least was like had personality.
He was pretty funny.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Big King.
I'll mourn him till I join him.
I love with like that one gif of him.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
he's
that's
like,
great.
that's like, and you just use that like anytime like an anti-vaxxer or somebody
Yep.
dies or whatever.
Oh,
Always post the or if like a Trump support, like Herman Cain is famous for being Trump killed Herman Cain.
yeah.
Trump wanted Trump wanted a rally because he was dying because he didn't have one for months when the pandemic started. So he was able to do one in Oklahoma where they didn't care about human life.
Yep.
And he had one. This is pre-vaccine. This is like May or when did it happen? Like the May or June? It was like June. I mean, it was so early.
Yeah, I don't remember, but that sounds right.
And that's also the famous one where the TikTok teens like signed up and made there's gonna be 1 million people there.
Trump wanted to outlaw
5,000. What?
And then Trump wanted to outlaw TikTok.
Yeah. But the most famous thing about that was that Herman Cain was murdered by that rally.
Yeah.
He got COVID and died a month later.
Yep.
Or 2 months later, he was sick.
Yeah.
Okay, so but Kristi Noem will be on the stage too. The media will try to convince you that like the Republicans really are going to pick her. They're not. No. Kristi Noem sucks. They're not going to pick her.
I could see them picking her as a running mate,
Maybe, but even then, she sucks. There's so much dirt on her and shit.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll pull somebody out that never ran. Like Sarah Palin was a complete unknown. Like I was aware of her a little bit, but like not until she like.
Yeah, but
she was the fucking governor of Alaska. Like no one fucking knows.
People are so good at research now. I think when Sarah Palin got picked out, she gained traction before people realized how stupid she was. And I think that it's a lot harder to do that today.
Yeah, but like I said, they're not gonna. If Kristi Noem runs and she's on that primary stage, she's not getting picked as a VP candidate. Fucking way, unless they're like the Republicans are just doing it as a show and they know they have no chance in winning.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a ticket to lose. Like I can't even imagine what shit stain is going to be the Republican candidate this time around. Like, yeah. I just can't imagine Ron DeSantis being it. It would just, the guy is like the personality of stale pudding. I mean, I don't even like, he is the personality of, what is that water?
Brackish water.
Brackish water, a stool-like substance that, like, what kind of piece of shit are they gonna run that, like, that could appeal to the chuds, but also try to somewhat steal just the smallest percentage they need to steal some states.
You have to, it's hard because you have to claim that the election was stolen.
Yep.
You have to basically show up with like orange chapstick all over your lips. You have
Is that a Trump reference?
Yes.
Sucking his orange penis.
his small shiitake.
His cheetah, medical cheetah puff.
You have to be like stridently anti-abortion, stridently anti-mask, stridently anti-vaccine, anti-trans,
critical race theory or whatever.
Yeah, so like you start with a sliver of people, you start with not enough people to win, and then you start removing people. It's like is what you do.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Who knows? I can't even imagine what next year is going to be like.
Well, I'll tell you a preview of this is kind of our next topic is that, and I don't love this phenomenon, but like if you accept the notion that the Republican Party's just really got off the deep end, and I think that's true. I don't think that that's hyperbole or exaggeration. I think the Republican Party's like gone full Trump and it ain't coming back. Then you have people like Matthew Dowd, the chief strategist for the Bush-Cheney campaign in 2004, saying, you know what, I'm going to be a Democrat and I'm going to run for lieutenant governor in Texas, which is what he's doing. And then you have the Democratic Party infiltrated, not secretly, you have at best moderates joining the party and pulling the party further
I
to the
wouldn't call them
center.
moderates. I call them right wing, right of center.
Well, it's weird. Like this guy, Matthew Dowd, I don't know much about his personal position. I get how you could be hired by a campaign and you're just going to do your job or whatever.
If he were, okay, so working for the 2000 George W. Bush campaign versus working for the George W. Bush campaign in 2004 are two totally different animals. 2004 2000 George W. Bush was just like a critique on Clinton's affair.
Yeah, pretty much.
They pretty much ran on that, and but 2004 George W. Bush campaign was nasty as fuck. It was incredibly homophobic. It was literally a it was literally an anti-gay marriage campaign. That was like literally what they ran on, and also because the Iraq War was already a disaster by the end of November. I mean, or the end of the election. The Iraq War was already proven to be a disaster way before that. And the effects of Bush as president was obvious, but then they ran on this incredibly hateful campaign,
divisive,
and also isolationist, attacking our allies who wouldn't go along with the bullshit Iraq War. So I don't know. This guy's a scumbag. Like, you didn't work. Like, it'd be one thing if he worked for 2000 and then said, "I'm not working for you now" in 2004. Well, you working for him in 2004, that says a lot about you. I also think it's a failure in the Democratic Party. I mean, like, why this guy, what's his name, Matthew Dowd?
Yep.
He's not going to get Republicans to like and now listen. Well, I take Matthew Dowd over Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick's disgusting. Dan Patrick's the guy who went on TV and still to this day is basically telling old people to drop dead for the economy.
Yeah. I would take an unanesthetized colonoscopy over the current, Republican administration.
Take brackish water with the brain-eating amoebas over fucking Dan Patrick. Like, Dan Patrick is
two turkey basters, both nostrils, and
straight up. If I just fill up with enough amoebas, I will have enough. My brain will become an amoeba. I'll be. They'll keep me alive. Like, Dan Patrick's like the ultimate scumbag. Like, he makes Greg Abbott look like Ralph.
Yeah.
Like, Dan Patrick's disgusting. Like, I don't even like, because he's just like really a right-wing radio host. Like, he's Matthew Dowd though. Like, I mean, it's just a failure in the Democratic Party. Like, because
the Democrats could run someone against him in the primary, and he could never even make it to the general election.
True. It doesn't, just because he announced it, he might not even make it to the primary. I mean, it's like not till next November, this election. I just think it's the MSNBC effect. If you look at MSNBC now, it's most of the personalities that are on there, minus Rachel Maddow and that guy with the glasses, I forgot his name. A lot of them are like fucking GOP stalwarts from the 2004 or 2008 campampaign.
Nicole
Scarborough, who's always been a douchebag. He was a douchebag back then. He's been on there. He's been on MSNBC for years.
Yep.
He got he still is a right winger. Like, he just didn't like Trump, but he helped push Trump. So I don't want to hear that. What's that woman's name?
Nicole Wallace.
Yeah, Nicole. I mean, I like her. Like,
I do too.
But she's at the end of the day, she's really a Bush Republican.
Yeah.
Her job is to normalize Republicans to MSNBC viewers, so they don't think that the party's completely insane. It might, it's like that. Remember when Nancy Pelosi was being interviewed and she's like, we need a strong Republican Party or something like that. She's trying to play to it's just like she's trying to play to their better selves. And it's like, come on, what year are you in? This is bullshit. That's a bullshit. No, you'd be like, you know what? The people of the party right now are fucking cancer. The only way is to defeat this. Maybe the Republicans will, when the Republicans are in the desert, they'll be able to realize what they did wrong. I don't know. But saying that bullshit. We need a strong Republican Party, or who else is on there? Well, the guy who was the fucking former chair of the Republican Party, Michael Steele.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Michael Steele might say some stuff that you like or something like that, but Michael Steele has a huge history of being a massive piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, he was terrible.
I would have a lot less problem with these people if they came out and kind of had a real conversation with like, look, I used to feel this way, and over time I've evolved, and this is why I evolved. I mean, like, people can change, but like,
yeah, but if they're honest about it,
right? I don't.
It's like, hey, I'm wearing a different shirt and I'm wearing contacts now,
yeah.
and I look different. I'm not wearing the bow tie anymore, and I say Trump's terrible.
Yeah,
and that's like enough for people to be like, oh, okay, this guy's a good egg or something. And it's like, oh, a good example. This guy who gained a lot of clout with like anti-Trump people was what's that guy's name? Oh fuck, he was like McCain's like.
Oh yeah, Steve. What's his name? It is Steve something. Steve Schmidt.
Yeah, Steve Schmidt. He he would say great things and all this stuff, anti-Trump, but like, dude, this is the guy who gave you Sarah Palin, first of all.
Right.
And then like he ran early on, like 2017, and completely collapsed. The CEO of Starbucks was going to run as an independent.
Yeah.
And try to like.
Yeah.
Steve Schmidt was going to be his campaign manager. It like fizzled and fucking like it died. People were like, fuck you, dude. What the hell, man? Like, trying to run as this like third way candidate. Third way is
that was
just like nice guy Republican. It's the same shit. It's like Thomas Friedman, that crap.
Yeah.
They always try to push this myth of the third way, and it's just a bunch of rich dudes who just don't want to be associated with like MAGA chuds. That's all it is. But they want the same things. He pushed like the CEO, and he got called down, and he just like lost his shit. And it was like, dude, we knew who you were the whole time, because if you really were truly anti-Trump, you wouldn't try to like profit off and run a bullshit. I mean, with the CEO of Starbucks, who knows? I mean, he could have been somewhat of a spoiler. It fizzled out real quick, but I don't know. Okay, what else?
Well, the next thing we're going to kind of shift gears and talk about some fun stuff. We were going to talk about What If, the latest episode of What If, and then we're going to talk about Squid Game.
Okay.
And what if first? No, go ahead.
So to end all that stuff, I don't know. I guess there's really nothing else to be said. So yeah, we'll just talk about what.
Yeah, we'll do What If.
Okay, what if? What if? I was going to make it.
What if Ultron had won? What if
Ultron had won? Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's basically if Ultron was the end. If you saw Age of Ultron, the end game, Vision was supposed to be Ultron's final body, his final form, and they were able to get like Jarvis or something in there, and then with the Mind Stone, and so Ultron had nowhere to go or something like that. And they were able to defeat him. But no, he takes over Vision's body, and he just becomes completely like omnipotent, pretty much. You see, like what was it? Like, it's kind of awesome. It's kind of cool because it's like people always make a joke about like Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye being kind of like the most useless Avengers.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are still alive.
Right.
And
it starts out with a great scene of Black Widow going down like a snowy street, and she's leading a bunch of those Ultron sentries, and Hawkeye is like shooting them with an arrow. It's a great opening scene.
It also makes sense. Like, they're more cunning. They may not have Thor's power or Hulk's power and like that, because they don't have those powers. They have to like, and they were like, they already had a past and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. Ultron has like, not Ultron. Hawkeye has a robot arm.
Yeah.
It's like, but man, I'm not gonna like break down the whole episode, but
it reminded me a lot of, not in a rip-off way, but it reminded me a lot of like a Terminator type future, and Captain Marvel, who appears in it briefly, even calls Ultron Skynet briefly, because that's kind of what it reminded me of. Even like the motorcycle scene and all that, it's like kind of a post-apocalyptic and whatever. I thought of all the what ifs, this one, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I still like the what if
Black. Part one. Spoiler.
Right.
We'll spoil this. I'm pretty sure it's a two-parter.
Yes, but I think I like the Black Panther Star-Lord one better. But like, man, this one, it was so perfectly paced. It just moved at such a great rate. It was over before you knew it. You wanted more, but it ended in the logical place. It was so fun to watch.
Well, so Thanos, it's like Ultron's like so powerful, and then like Thanos shows up, like just the way he appears in Infinity War, is like the way he appears in the end of that zombie episode.
Yeah.
And what does Ultron do?
Just like slices them in half.
Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously, what if's not gonna do what like anime or like more like a cartoon would do, where organs would fall out. He just like slices in half like a fucking Jello mold, and like both sides just, it's like really fucking funny. And then he literally becomes an Infinity Gauntlet. He creates like an armor shell. You're good.
No, it was really a funny scene. There's a lot of funny stuff in this otherwise pretty bleak episode.
Yeah, I mean, Ultron goes now to like the rest of the universe. He goes to Asgard, completely destroys it. He kills Ego. He kills. He goes to other planets. Captain Marvel shows up. He defeats Captain Marvel. Did Anthony? What's his name? Who's the guy who did Ultron's voice originally?
It was not him. I paused it at the very end.
Spader? It wasn't James Spader?
It was not James Spader. It was some other guy. And
it didn't sound like him.
No. Really. And I was really hoping they'd get James Spader. But and I also noticed that Black Widow's voice was done by Lake Bell, who
she's done all of them. Scarlett Johansson didn't do any of the.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Jeremy
Renner cast Lake Bell as Scarlett
I like Lake Bell a lot. She's funny, and I don't know if she'd be a good Black Widow, but but it was a great episode. It really was.
Johansson at all. But I mean, he just like he becomes like all powerful. He basically destroys the universe, and the best part of the episode is, because what's his face is narrating the whole thing.
The Watcher.
Does he say what his name is? Is he Utah, whatever his name is?
If he did, I don't remember that.
Okay, well, he says something and then Ultron hears it.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to, like, no one's supposed to know this thing exists. He like exists outside the realm. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like the Watcher's funny in this. Like the Watcher's
really
like,
funny. Yeah.
He's this like spectral like god in the background. And in a way, he's he's like the super powerful like alien race, and like he errs. He's like human in a way too, He fucks just up, dude. Makes mistakes. Just like like the best part is Scarlet. Scarlet Wit? I can't even fucking say
that's it.
Black
you said
Widow.
That earlier, and I was like, did he say Scarlet? It was Black Widow.
Black Widow and Hawkeye are trying to find. Like there's supposedly a alternate like AI, which is Zola, and which Scarlet. God damn, I keep saying Scarlett Johansson.
You're conflating Scarlett Johansson,
Black Widow, in reference to Winter Soldier, because this takes place after Age of Ultron. And so they have to go to a different place, like this place in Russia, I guess, and it's all like just files. They don't keep anything
like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
They even reference that. And the best is when Hawkeye's just tired. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore, and he's looking through the boxes, and like the Watcher's like, it's right there. You can't say anything to him. You can't say anything to him. It's so funny. I love when they bring Zolo's brain into a sentinel, sentry. But the first thing they do is Black Widow shoots off his legs, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And they're like, we just want to make sure you don't turn on us, it's bleak as fuck because Vision Ultron finds the Watcher, and they battle it out. They battle through they go through the multiverse, different dimensions. We get to see Steve Rogers as becoming president, which is straight from the original What If comic series. And it's awesome. And it ends in I guess it's weird. So Ultron doesn't kill him or anything like that. He just like leaves him or something.
Well, I think the Watcher escapes.
Yeah.
And then winds up back in his home or whatever, because he, as you see at the very end, he teams up with the imprisoned the evil Doctor Strange.
The one from that episode that destroys his universe, gets completely destroyed and like basically imprisoned in like a little jewel or something.
Yeah. And he seems reformed, like the Doctor Strange here. He doesn't say like, hey, I've had time to think about it and I'm good now. But he says, I've been trapped.
He just wants to get out of the crystal.
Well, he does say, I've been trapped in a prison of my own making. And so like you get a clear sense like, okay, he knows he fucked up and it's his own fault. And even the last time we saw him, you got the feeling like he knew he brought it on himself.
Yeah.
And so then Doctor Strange at the very end of this, Doctor Strange and the Watcher team up.
Yeah, well, that's the alluding to that. And also, I mean, well, Hawkeye sacrifices himself.
Yes.
And he dies. Black Widow is with Zola. Yep. And he realized like he thought he could get AI, but like they're gonna have to get him near Vision Ultron or whatever, because he's like not even in the same galaxy or something anymore. So he couldn't even find him. So I'm assuming she'll be back with the Zola will be in this episode. The demonic Doctor Strange. Yeah. He's like a god in himself. I mean, like
super powerful.
Yeah, like that whole just absorbing the souls. Remember when he would like absorb them in an episode and he just like his eyes and mouth, like, like it was so demonic.
Really terrifying.
Like, that's a scary episode. Yeah. Especially when like he wakes her up.
Oh
but he's like all fucking demonic
looking. He's like inhuman, and
it's real. It's like that's the first thing she sees, and she's like in hell or something. That's gonna be cool. I mean, the season finale. I'm assuming that we're gonna see maybe Agent Carter might be in this one, Captain Carter in this. Supposedly, like I said, the rumor is that like we will see those different that basically Watcher is gonna recruit basically everyone that he saw throughout the season. So we'll probably get Ant-Man in a jar, his head. Over his head.
We'll get something like that. We'll get Star-Lord, Black Panther.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're gonna bring in some surprise ones like Spider-Man or
he was in that zombie episode. So basically like anyone that was any of the heroes or whatever from their episodes, like Thor, the Party Thor episode, which I watched again, man. That episode, like when they would punch each other and you would see the country, like it is like straight out of Looney Tunes. Like
you could bring back Party Thor. And,
even though I remember like that was the end of the Party Thor episode was Vision showing.
Right, that's right.
And that was like the stinger in the end. Like what? It's cool. I'm glad that they made the Watcher kind of like a character. I think that's cool because that Watcher is a character in the comics. Like, there's been times where the Watcher has to like intercede. Like one of the first big stories was when they introduced Galactus, and Galactus came down to the Earth, and the Watcher was like, "Oh shit! Like I'm gonna have to help." I'm wondering too if like what if will. Because like I said, one thing cool about this episode is that they also allude, even though it's a what if, the writers of it created a scenario where they can bring Zola back to like the next Captain America movie, because Black Widow states there was different stations of Zola. He existed. He's like an analog. So when he gets booted up, he thinks he's meeting her for the first time because he wasn't that person. She's like, I already met you. I don't need to do this again. And she reminds him that like you're the last one. So his existence he's officially dead if they destroyed that last one. Remember Hawkeye's got like a
it's good.
pot of coffee or whatever, and they're like, he's just he asked the IT department, he's destroyed many keyboards or something. Yeah, it's cool. I can't wait for the next one. I think it's gonna be good. Again, the animation style and everything is like, it's just
I love it. Yeah,
it's so well done. Like when he would punch the watcher into different dimensions, and like, man, like there's a lot of work put into that.
They did a great job.
Different universes, and like, I'm glad when they announced it, I was like, man, this is taking forever, but fuck, it looks so good. It's worth the wait,
For sure.
Like, I'd rather it be high quality than have to. Like,
oh yeah.
Who knows? They could be already been working on the next ones, but yeah. All right, so let's just wrap this up. We'll talk about Squid Games real quick. I'm happy to see it doing well.
Me too.
So we talked about it last week and stuff like that, and we're gonna spoil it. But one of the things they didn't spoil was the big finale, or like, so basically, it's revealed in the last episode that the old man that befriends our hero. I don't remember the names. Do you remember?
I don't either. Okay. I don't.
Okay. He befriends this old man who's dying of like a brain tumor or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy was just like into it, and he was like partners that episode with that one game they play with the marbles.
Oh yeah.
And he's like chasing him around because they're like, they're gonna kill us. Like, dude, you gotta play the game. And
right.
The guy's having like an episode or something. You don't know what's going on. Like he's like dementia or something. Like he thought he was in his own neighborhood or something. Do you remember that one guy, the main guy's friend from childhood? He ends up becoming like a scumbag. He basically tricks that guy into dying by saying like, he like totally fools this guy into thinking like, oh yeah, I take the marbles or something, or you now go play the game with other people, and that's not how it worked.
Right.
He gave him a bag full of rocks. He like tricked him. He thought he had the marbles in the bag.
Yeah.
That was fucked up.
It was a fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they made him into like a villain in the end, that guy.
Well, he at the very end, he kind of like sacrificed himself, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
To an extent. I mean, I guess this redeeming moment.
Right.
It is weird that it got so popular. You know what's weird is my kid watches TikTok videos. My kid's 10, and she is 100% into Squid Game theories. And
she hasn't watched it.
She has not watched it, and I was like, "You can't watch it. It's just terrible, and you really shouldn't even be watching."
It's very violent.
Yeah,
it's a very, very violent show, and it's there's a lot of adult subjects in it.
Yeah, I wonder, like, it's weird, like with horror movies. Sometimes, like, I don't think kids realize how horrifying a movie could be. Like, I wonder if my kid saw it. I'm not gonna let my kid say it, but I wonder if my kid saw it, if she'd be like, "Oh, that was terrifying," and just walk away startled. Whereas, like, someone like me looks at it and has like deep existential dread. Like.
I mean, I think there's things you pick up on. Like, there's movies I saw as a kid and movies I saw as an adult, and when you see it with like adult eyes, you see like all the context. When you're a kid, you see the monsters, you see the flashing lights, you see the violence and stuff like that, but you don't really pick up on like. Most kids don't pick up on like this usually, like a class struggle, economics. There's a lot of factors involved. There's like more like a good horror movies, well-written horror movies. That stuff's like the adults pick up on it. Like there's horror movies you'll watch and we'll be like, oh shit, like I didn't know that. And,
right. It wasn't until I was in my 30s that I could really appreciate like Leprechaun 3. And
there's a lot of deep subject that, but or even like the Holy Trilogy, the Muppet trilogy,
right?
You don't pick up. You appreciate like the frog legs struggle, the frog legs in the first movie, and Charles Grodin wanted to fuck a pig or trick a pig. I don't know, whatever.
Right.
And we also learned the most valuable thing, which is that days go passing day by day if you're a baby.
But years.
But when you're an old Muppet, the years go passing year by year. And we learned that too in the Muppet trilogy. So I'm glad we were able to wrap that. We started
Absolutely.
with that. Not ending exactly, but we wrapped it up,
Yeah, full circle.
That's comedy right there, like that's a class on comedy,
Time plus tragedy.
Callback. Yeah, it's a callback. And then usually you're supposed to walk up the stage at this point. But we're gonna keep going. Yeah. So we're almost done. But okay, so what are the Squid Game theories that she's reading?
The one she said that made the most sense is that the old guy is actually the protagonist's father. Because there's multiple points in the show, and I've seen clips from a video about this theory that say like the old guy's like, I used to grow up in a neighborhood like this, and the guy would be like, me too. And then something else is like, I used to do this, and the kid was like, me too. And then there's one scene where it's like, my son's birthday is coming up like in a few days, and it turns out like in the very beginning when the kid's entering his birth date to figure out the pin number, when he's trying to, that's his birthday, that the birthdays kind of coincide. So I don't know. I mean, like to me, I think
that's kind of cool. I mean, if that's true, fine. It's not needed.
I think they would have revealed it at the end had it been true. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, if they're doing a season 2, they might bring it up or something, or I mean, perhaps. Like, yeah, he doesn't have a dad. You don't know. I mean, he's an adult and he's with his mom. He's sick. It's kind of sad when he comes home and she was dead already.
She's dead, right?
Right. He didn't get to do the right thing. He thought, he had the money and he could get, but it was too late. He was gone, that game and everything. But like, so like I said, the old man, it's revealed, is actually the person who either started it, ran it, runs it,
designed it, or
he's
something.
The head of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I saw it coming. Because like I said, in like the second or third last episode, you see the fox outfit. They have like all these like rich assholes show up with masks, and then there's like a fox one or whatever. I think it's a fox. And you see the build on it, small, but then there's an episode where they show the guy from the back. Later on, you see him from the back, and you see a little bit of gray, old man gray hair sticking out from it. And I was like, it's that fucking guy. Because when that marble game, when you think the old man, it's kind of sad. It's like you feel like the hero is tricking this old man.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also maybe like the old man is like giving it to him. Like,
right.
Because he was like, oh, you're right. Like he was acting like he didn't know what was going on. And like, but he gets kind of killed off camera. Like they don't show it. And that, you could be like, well, that's the audience being like, oh, you want to see a sweet old man get his head blown off. We're not going to show that, character.
Right.
But it's because they're, faked as killing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, anybody who's watched this type of show would probably begin to suspect something is up with the old guy. There's like a lot of like clues that say, why is he here? But it was a great show. I really, really liked it a whole lot.
So the end of the show, it ends with like a year later.
Yeah.
And he's like a bum, basically, the guy. Like he hasn't shaved, he has long hair, like unkept hair.
Yep.
And the guy has got like millions of dollars. Like it said like 400 billion or something.
Yeah.
We looked it up. It's like the guy's got like 40 million USA. The guy's rich. And they gets contacted by the bank, and they're like all nice to him and everything. And like, you haven't touched your money. Like barely. He hasn't touched anything. And he gets like an invitation, and that's when it's revealed. It's revealed to him that the old man is still alive, and he was the one who runs it.
Yeah.
But he's sick. He's in a bed. And that's all. I didn't like that. I kind of wish he wasn't sick. I didn't like that he was bedridden. Like maybe you could say I do really have a brain tumor, I am going to die, but I would have been better. I would have preferred if he wasn't in such a weakened state.
Yeah. Yeah. I follow.
But they play this game. The old guy basically tells him like how he was this banker. He made all kinds of money, and he got bored basically.
Yeah.
There's like, you know,
a little Fight Club element in there, you know.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, rich people hunting poor people type thing too. A little different. Well, they're not hunting them, more just they're making bets with each other too. These rich people.
Yeah.
They. Oh, then there's also another big spoiler. There's a cop that you're introduced to who's investigating it. You meet him early on the show, and he sneaks into the island because he's looking for his brother. So there's also another like connection where he finds out no, his brother was not in the game and was killed. His brother is the guy who runs the games, the one who wears like the Greek, the black like mask, that has, like the chiseled face. That's his brother.
Okay, yeah.
You remember that?
I do, yeah.
You watched the show, you know what I'm talking about? It was like a major reveal. Like it wasn't just like a like, oh, you know, I mean, I saw some TikTok theories with my daughter. I figured I'd watch the whole entire show. That was another like big revelation. This cop, like, and the cop dies. Like I mean, as far as we know, he was killed. Right?
Yeah, I wonder about the ultimate fates of a lot of these characters. You know,
well, we know. I mean, we know all the people who played the games are dead.
That seemed obvious. Yeah, I mean, like I doubt that will be faked. The
bridge, though, that was so fucking like the bridge thing. That was so disturbing. Like how they died and like.
All of it was so disturbing. And the fact, like I said, we talked about this a little bit last week, that it was like children's games was just so like terrifying and like kind of a humiliating way to die.
But it's like, yeah, and the thing is too, it's like the end result was that there, of course, only one person would survive the game because that last game is meant to just kill people. That one with the bridge, like if you're the first person, you're dead. Like there's no way you're going to get across that bridge without. So the last game was each side was a pane of glass, and one of them was either tempered and the other one was like just regular glass or something.
Must have been, yeah.
At the tempered is the one that will sustain, so it could sustain up to 2 people. Yeah, that was fucked up. That one was fucked up. But like I said, the last scene when not the last scene, but when he encounters the old man and the golden thing reveals to him, and the old man's like, "No, I'm really sick and dying." Like that, I didn't fake. But like they play the game where they see a homeless man outside. It made me think of the last scene in Snowpiercer when what's his face is talking to Chris Evans.
Wilford.
Yeah, Wilford, and you know they're having this discussion about humanity and everything like that. And it kind of reminded me of that too. So they're kind of having a discussion on humanity. It's like anyone going to help this pathetic, drunk homeless man outside? Anyone? And the bet is like we got till midnight, and the guy basically bets all his money. Like he will give up all. Like, I guess the old man said he would. What was he give him in exchange? Information or something?
I think
why he did it or something, or
like answers. Wasn't it just like answers?
Then he like dies.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
So okay, so someone does show up in the end to help this man before freezing to death. You see a person look at a little earlier. You see someone stop, check on him, but then walks away.
Right.
And you're like, and then this guy's like, and then the old man's like, oh, I guess they weren't really gonna help or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, where he talks and everything. And then he went to go get a cop and save someone. So it was like that whole like the hero's like still preserved. Like no, there's still some good people out there. There's still like this. The old man with this horrible game that they play and everything is like it's so jaded and so cynical.
Yeah,
life is so meaningless and that humanity is just garbage and no one cares about each other. And there may be 100% true, but
but not. He might be 99% true.
Yeah, truly, because they're one person saved the guy. And I don't know, but like the guy then like gets cleaned up. He gets his hair done, which is odd. I hated the hair.
The hair at the end,
He looks like he's in he like now I have all this money, I'm gonna start my K-pop group or something. It was really weird. But he like, it's kind of fucked up in a way too, though, because like he didn't do shit for a year. So like one of the main characters was this girl that like you meet earlier.
The pickpocket.
What?
The pickpocket girl?
Yeah. Who was like a refugee from North Korea or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And she wanted to like, she had a little brother and he was like living in some kind of orphanage or something like that. And like he didn't do anything about it until like a year later. I guess he was just like in a state of shock, the game, surviving it, his mom dying, he just felt completely useless. I think his daughter moved out, they moved to America. So he doesn't do anything for a year, but then he starts picking up things. He's gonna do everything right now that he got some answers and, you know, seeing somebody save that old man, that homeless person.
Right.
So he goes and he like gets the kid and the money, and then he gives like a ton of money to like his childhood friend who turned out to be a dick, but his childhood friend's mom.
Right.
Gives her like a suitcase, who knows, like maybe half the earnings or something. It was a ton of money.
A lot.
And she would help the kid out and everything, find a place. But then he's like, it ends with him now heading to the United States to finally see his daughter. And you just kind of wish it ended there. But no, it doesn't. No. It doesn't. And this scene made me and my wife and I were watching it. He's on the subway heading to the airport, and he sees across the subway on the other side is the guy who recruited him, because he gets recruited. Basically, he's on the subway, and a guy offers him like 100,000 Korean money, whatever.
Yeah, to be
childhood game, and he keeps slapping him until he wins, and then he gets the 100,000. And he sees that, and he runs across. He's like, "Don't take it, don't do it." And he's like, "Who are?" The guy escapes. The guy who recruits him, and of course, he has the card, and then he calls the card, and he's like, "Who are you people? Like, who are you?" And the guy's like, "Just get on the plane, go see your daughter, and just go on with your life. Don't worry about it." You know? Yeah. And it's like, you know what? They're right, dude. And it's so fucked up. It's like, again, he's like calling this poor daughter up and like, do the right thing finally, and be like, try to get back in her life and be a good dad. And it's like, dude, now he's going to be sucked into doing another season. It's coming to season 2. Dad, like, the daughter's like, oh, whatever, I don't care. Yeah. But I mean, like, well, I mean, it was like weird. Like, who are you? I mean, like, you kind of already knew who they were.
Yeah, I mean, they are what they are. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess he like doesn't know who they are. Like,
I mean, I get some people would ask that even if they knew who they were. I mean, it's just like it's what you say.
It's like, you know, obviously, because like the people that show up to the rich people that show up, like obviously a lot of these people, they were Americans and European and like Asian, but they were not from Korea. They were like South Korean. Like one of them was probably Trump, you know, like
sure.
Elon Musk.
That's funny.
Remember that one guy, the one who like the cop, he tries to like, he's like, "Get me off," and I'll be richer than ever. That was gross. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I'll watch a season 2. I hope it's different somewhat. Yeah. Like, I'm sure they'll come up with new games.
I'll watch a season 2. I'll probably go back and watch a little bit of season 1 here and there. It's a great show. I mean, it's again, it's not like life altering. It's not like super.
I mean, there's a lot. I could say, like, if you've never seen anything like that before.
Oh yeah,
they'll definitely alter. Not, I mean, like movies and shows, like really well done ones, especially ones that are like have like a lot of like socio political
politics to
politics, stuff like that. That can be very effective for people, and if it's done well.
And it's done well, and it's got like good production values. It's a good.
It is really good production values, like the designs of the games and everything. Like there's definitely money behind it.
Yeah,
like, it's not a cheap show.
No.
Somebody posted on TikTok though, I guess in like a Korean mall or whatever, they had the doll, the girl, the robot, and people were like, "Oh God," like because that thing just like fucking kills people.
Yeah,
on
fuck.
the spot.
Uh,
The red light, green light girl.
yeah.
It's crazy too, because like that, it's crazy how like something like that is going to become so iconic to the show.
Oh yeah.
And it's the first game they play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, though?
It's
But,
so
like,
effective though, that first one. They
That's
handle
the-
that really well.
like I used to work in licensing and stuff like that, and no joke, that will be the thing I'll be on. Like,
Oh yeah.
it becomes like a licensing bonanza in a way. That'll be the thing that's like on 90% of the shirts will be
Yeah.
that girl robot. Like, as it is creepy as fuck. And then
It
the
is.
masks. I could see, unfortunately, this thing becoming if it gets popular enough. Like, if I
Yeah.
was working on a licensing company right now, they'd be like, "Oh, we just talked to the agent who got Squid Games." I'd be like, "All right, time to make some merch of some fucked up shit."
Yeah, fuck.
Coming to a hot topic near you. Fucking Squid Games. Like, anyone who's listening, if any of you listening to this podcast and you work for a licensing agency, I want 10%
Yeah.
as a finder fee.
Right.
All right. Well, on that note, on that note, right?
Yeah, on that note.
That's it. I mean, we talked about a bunch of good stuff.
Yeah.
Avoid brain eating amoebas.
100%.
Yeah, I you know, people disagree on COVID and stuff like that, but I would hope. I mean, I don't know. I guess, have you done the research on brain eating amoebas?
I've listened to both sides of the science on this.
Both sides of the brain eating amoeba.
Yeah,
science.
the pro brain eating amoeba lobby makes for some compelling arguments, but I'm firmly in the anti brain eating amoeba camp.
I'm glad to see that. You know, I say anti-amoeba, brain-eating amoeba a person, you know.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't want a brain-eating amoeba after enjoying a nice glass of brackish water and a side of Florida muck. ATV muck. All right. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that.
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.